Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is Luca Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slaves.
Here we go, guys. Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.fm net. Another Sunday, another show. And unfortunately, sometimes I get depressed a little bit, I must tell you. As much as I always say, till there is life, there is hope. And that's true. We must fight back no matter what. But sometimes the picture is so devastating. The reality is so sad. And, I'm sorry, guys. If you still believe that you live in a free country, I don't want to try to offend you, but you're insane. Or maybe, you need some help to understand the facts. Don't get me wrong. I want to live in a free country. And people say, if you don't like it, go back wherever you're from. Guess what? First of all, I said many times, I have no place to go back. I embrace America as my only country when I became a naturalized American. I burned my Italian passport, so there is no way to get rid of me unless you want to send me to Guantanamo, pretty soon, all the people like me who complain too much. That's pretty much what it's about, this, National Defense Authorization Act and all this stuff. So, no way. And more important, for all of you that you think that I'm just, some sort of a whiner and not a person that drinks wine, but wine, I mean somebody complaining, just to be sure you got it down right, because sometimes I understand my accent and my grammar sucks. But, it's part of my duty. The day when I became an American, I took an oath. And the oath was to defend this republic. Now, I would like to articulate with you some news during this first hour, Love, Guns, and Freedom. Pretty much the last few days, what happened in America, what used to be the land of the free, home of the brave, and start to digest the reality, the facts, that we are not free anymore. And how do you define tyranny? How do you define freedom? Well, let's keep it simple, When we have two different type of people who live under different type of laws, and some they are accountable for the laws, some they are not. So, right there, you realize that you're not free anymore. You're living under tyranny. And I already said many times, we have different type of legislations that didn't just start with Obama, started even before Bush, gradually destroying our Bill of Rights, destroying our state rights, destroying every type of individual rights we have. But today we are at a new level. Now they are really on the open. And I'll go through with you, through different type of news that pretty much can show where we are living under this new fascism. And why I'm doing this? Do I want to depress you? No. Do I want you to, freak you out? Probably, a little bit. And I know many of you already understand what's going on, But the point is, I'm trying to reach out people that they are still maybe, they smell that something is wrong, but they still can grasp it. Or maybe they can still do not face it. And maybe we can help them out to articulate a little bit what's going on. And why? Because we need everybody out there. I'm on this show not because I like to hear my voice talking. I'm not even that great. I don't like to, spend hours during the week doing this show, producing this show, that I could do many other things. And maybe I may do it. I don't know. The point is, I'm here because I'm trying to reach out people. I don't care which party. I've proven to you. I'm not right, I'm not left, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat. My job here is to expose evil no matter what. Try to learn. Try to expose the facts. try, to find one thing we have all in common. I don't care, if you're black, white, orange, if you're gay, straight, middle of the way, upside down. I don't care. All I care that we are human beings and we have some individual rights that nobody can touch. Okay? And the government didn't give us these rights. And unfortunately, they're taking it away from us. And that's my only job. I'm trying to reach out you guys, every one of you, that we need everybody. Okay? We need a gay, we need a straight, we need the Americans, we need the people from around the world, because we are all under tyranny. And today also I will give you, after this news, pretty much the big picture. What I consider the big picture, because at the beginning you think, okay, the government is screwing with us. Okay, they try to raise taxes. Okay, they try to deny access to, resources, to food, or, more regulations, or EPA is increasing regulations, electricity is going to go up, or you cannot have the garden, or you cannot have the goat, oh, you got to take the vaccine, oh, they want your guns. Don't you see it's all under the same goal? And somebody is behind all this. And today I will also go through, because I want to start to put out names. I want to start to give you the idea that this is not just some sci-fi movie, some sort of, conspiracy theory drama that I need to put out just to fill this hour. I couldn't care less. I don't even have to stay here on this radio if I don't want to. I don't need it. I'm here because I'm really concerned that I'm not just concerned about the next generation living under complete tyranny. We are already under tyranny. And it's going to get worse day after day. I believe that in the next few months, something very terrible, a new crisis is going to happen. Could be economic crisis, or could be some false flag. I really believe it, that we are coming to so close. And today, let me remind you, today is August the 16th, 2015. And I hope to be wrong. I hope that maybe in 6 months from now, things are still going to be okay. But the problem is that this system cannot continue to live, to exist. We are heading towards global collapse. This is not just an American problem. Look what's happening right now. What's happening right now in China with the economy. Look what's happening in Greece, in Europe. The economy is being destroyed, but by whom? The economy never had a chance to happen. Because when you create an economy based on a very cancerous, a very destructive system, it's called the private Federal Reserve, the centralized private bank, every time you print $1 for the government issued by this private entity, it's $1 of debt. There is no way. This is complete bondage. This is slavery. Till we don't stop that, we're never going to make it. And this is pretty much a cancer spread out around the world. There were only few countries out there who were not controlled by these private central banks. And by the way, one of those was Libya. One of those is Syria. You understand why now, maybe? The New World Order, whoever does not comply with this centralized system of bondage or serfdom, it must go down. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't a fan of Gaddafi, and I'm not a fan of Assad then in Syria, but for sure, they were not even that bad as many other people out there, and it's none of our business what they do. It's their country. So, don't you see that's just an excuse? Anyway, let's start to pretty much go through today's show. First of all, I would like to talk about something very important. This Colorado River, this Animas River in Colorado, this spill, it's also a spill, by the EPA, this such unconstitutional, tyrannical agency. Let me tell you this, for all of you that you still worship the government and you think this is your government, this is not your government. This is not our government anymore. And by the way, I don't care which party you are, but let's look maybe something we may all agree. We are supposed to elect our representatives, okay? They're supposed to work for us and represent us. What happens when we have people not elected, in this case they're called bureaucrats, I guess, like the EPA, they have no accountability. They can do whatever they want because nobody's going to fire them. And nobody really is going to, vote them in or vote them out. That's tyranny. I don't care if this was a Republican or a Democrat person appointed by Democrat or Republican president. Doesn't matter. This is wrong. We've been taken over. And like the EPA, there are many other agencies out there, like the ATF and many others. All these three letters agencies, they're all unconstitutional. And they're all unaccountable. And that's pretty much the definition of tyranny. Now, we all know, that pretty much Obama, just a few days ago, by edict. Now, you may say you like it or not. That's not even the point. But somebody wakes up in the morning just because he got some free paper paid by our tax dollar with a beautiful, few $100 special pen with magic ink, and I've been sarcastic here. Now, just because he feels like it, he can start to write regulations. He starts to give orders to some sort of overlord or underlords, like the EPA, and decide what type of regulations, extra millions or billions of dollars we must pay to pretty much play this carbon tax scheme. Even if the carbon tax, even this global warming was real, even if, that's not the way it's supposed to work. There is a Congress out there. And there is a Congress that they are elected. And there is a Congress who has the function to make the laws. Even an immigrant like myself, who wasn't born here, understands the basics. The law is made by Congress. The president is supposed to enforce the law. That's it. No. Now, the president is the new Caesar. And he has all these little, thugs from the different agencies that pretty much can start to just enforce tyranny. So that's the point. Now, let's go back a little bit to what happened a few days ago in Colorado. That, this river, Animas, beautiful river, great area. Many people want to retire there. And EPA, this supervisor, this low-level supervisor, accidentally, pretty much, released 3 million gallons of complete polluted water with the worst chemicals you can imagine. Think about it if any of us, regular slaves, regular serf, we were caught maybe throwing, a gallon of paint in that river. And the EPA agent was there watching us. Probably we would be tased on the spot and maybe, 20 fustigation on the back on the square. At least. For sure, a fine. For sure, some jail time maybe. Seriously. Now, think about it. This EPA person pretty much can get away. And more important, let's look if this is really an accident, and I don't care if it's an accident or not. We need to start to understand that there is a very much more devious plan behind. The plan is for the government to create crisis, and under crisis, tyranny can flourish, because it's the same old Hegelian dialectics. Problem, reaction, solution. First they create a crisis. It could be a false flag, or in this case, even this spill, because this is such an ignorant act, by the way, and we have proofs that there was a geologist just a couple weeks before this accident, just a couple weeks before this accident, pretty much he wrote a letter to the editor denouncing and exposing that the EPA were playing with fire, and more important, what they were doing. They could have pretty much be caused, because creating such a crisis, they can pretty much go for completely stopping, halting all the development and use of resources like mining. And we know this is pretty much part of Agenda 21. They've been trying to do this now everywhere. Look in Oregon. Look in Nevada, trying to stop the resources of the ranchers. I mean, this is something not just by accident. Google Agenda 21. I talk about this topic many times on the show. And this is nothing happened today with Obama. Obama is just the final stage. They're implementing it, okay? So this is something we need to understand. It is very important. So now, not only they pretty much can create this new crisis, but also they can ask more funds, because now they need to pretty much clean this water. And it's going to cost us probably about $100 million just to create this sort of purification system. EPA plan is really a super fund. Blitzkrieg. Anyway, this is the letter from this gentleman, okay? Let me read it to you briefly, just the part, okay? And I would like that maybe you can find it, because this is important. I will post it on lovegunsfreedom.com, today's show. This is on the Silverton Standard, okay? Anyway, this was published a week before the EPA spill. So it's about a couple pages. Let's see if with my accent I can go through with that. You know, I'm going to just post it out. Anyway, the letter to the editor post below and written by Dave Taylor from Farmington, New Mexico, was published in the Silverton Standard and the Miner, local newspaper. This is an author, retired geologist, and just 1 week before the EPA mine spill wrote this letter. The letter detailed verbatim how EPA officials would foul up the Animas River on purpose in order to secure Superfund money. If the Coal King mine was declared a Superfund site, it would essentially kill future development for the mining industry in the area. The Obama EPA is vehemently opposed to mining and development. The EPA pushed for nearly 25 years to apply its Superfund program to the Coal King mine. If a leak occurred, the EPA would then receive Superfund status. This is exactly what happened. The EPA today admitted they misjudged the pressure in the gold mine before the spill. I mean, and I will post this letter so you can see it yourself. Now, what I'm going to say, guys, I don't care if this is an accident or not. Supposed to be accountability, supposed to be laws for everybody, especially for people that are supposed to work for us, supposed to be held a higher standard. Now, let's see. You already know that this is pretty much is a wash. But all I say, now the damage is done, and this water is coming down. And the beautiful thing, I'm being sarcastic, that these bastards, they're telling us that the water now is coming back to pretty much normal levels. And yeah, I would like to see if the EPA, how she call herself? This EPA administrator, I guess. Yeah, let me tell you exactly how she calls herself. I think she's an administrator, you know. This unelected, you know, piece of crap. How she would drink the water. Let's see if she would drink the water. You know, she said now it's normal level. Okay? So, administrator, let's see. This is Mrs. McCarty. Can I call her Mrs.? I think she looks like a man to me. Seriously. But whatever. I don't care. Gina McCarty, you have to look at her face, by the way. I don't want to judge people from their face, but I'm sorry. On this one, she looks the part. She looks like an eco-fascist. Okay? To be appointed by the Obama administration, you must be an eco-fascist. And don't get me wrong, Bush was another fascist too. Okay? They're all implementing Agenda 21. The only difference is how fast. Okay? So anyway, that's my point. Now, I would like to, 1 second, first of all, play a little bit of local news here from this situation in Colorado, because this is coming also through us, Mohave County. The Colorado River, it's here. If you think that this is not going to reach us, maybe not today, but don't get me wrong, 3 million gallons of contaminated water with terrible chemical stuff, it's going to be bad, no matter what. And even if it doesn't touch us, think about it. If we don't stop it now, next time could be maybe in our county. We must completely understand that we must wake up. We must rise up. We must show to these elected or unelected public servants that we are the boss. We are not just a bunch of slaves to boss around, because that's pretty much the way we've been treated. Now wait that the next electric bill, the next winter is coming, with the new Obama regulations on this coal industry. How are you going to feel when you're going to pretty much have the money to decide if you can eat for dinner or you can pay the electric bill? How do you feel, idiots out there? Seriously, you think you're saving the planet? They are not saving the planet. They just want to pretty much create a futuristic society, destroy humanity, put us in bondage. That's part of the globalist agenda. And I will talk about this after this segment, because then I would like to give you exactly what I think about the big picture. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna. And sorry if I sound irritated, because I'm really irate today. You know, to think about these bastards of the EPA without accountability going out there and pretty much destroy nature, destroy our future, destroy our water. And guess what? Still getting paid and laughing at us probably. Maybe they're going to get a promotion. Anyway, let's listen to this.
To do that test.
All eyes were on Gina McCarthy in Durango, Colorado. It was the EPA administrator's first visit to the area since one of her crews accidentally unplugged millions of gallons of waste from the Gold King mine into the Animas River.
We are going to be fully accountable for this in a transparent way.
The orange muck had high amounts of toxic heavy metals in it, like lead and arsenic. A plume of it flowed south into our state, then towards Lake Powell in Utah. Since then, San Juan County has been handicapped. Cities are tapping into the reserve water supplies. Rafting and kayaking businesses along the Animas have suffered, and farmers can't irrigate crops. But today,
it shows that the levels have returned to pre-event conditions.
Some positive news. McCarthy says water samples from Colorado show that high amounts of heavy metals are gone in the Animas and that it's back to normal there. But the EPA chief didn't discuss samples that were taken in New Mexico. That's partly because the samples taken in New Mexico were just validated by the EPA hours ago and are still being reviewed. In the meantime, the state says they've done their own individual sampling and that the preliminary results in San Juan County look promising. That's good news for the Polk family. They have a private well and haven't had water since the spill.
That's good. So I can take showers and she'll let me back in the house.
Yeah, I would love to be able to clean and launder and get my wheels going down that track again.
McCarthy says an internal investigation into what happened at the mine is underway. An outside agency will do an independent investigation to get answers too.
Our mission is to protect public health and the environment. We will hold ourselves to a higher standard than anyone else.
But Navajo Nation President Russell Begay says he has not seen that standard.
It's indisputable that what we received was inaccurate.
Begay tells us he went to the mine himself to get an accurate assessment of the spill. He says it was worse than what EPA officials said it was.
They told us one thing, it wasn't. And they told us it was a couple of metal product, chemical product, and it's more.
Colorado's governor and Governor Susana Martinez have also criticized the EPA for their response to the spill. Today, a promise from EPA Administrator Gina McCarthy to do better.
I have heard concerns about notifications and how quickly we were able to ramp up, and we will address those issues as we look at the investigation.
McCarthy told reporters the most recent samples from La Plata County show the water is almost back to normal levels. Begay isn't relieved. The Farmington mayor still hasn't cleared the water for drinking, bathing, or other uses.
We have people that need water now. We have livestock that have to have water now. And the farmers, we're now in the growing season, and they need irrigation water.
The Navajo Nation waits for the okay, but it's time Begay says his people don't have. And we checked in with Navajo Nation officials all day long. Now, they would like to meet with the EPA administrator. They were told maybe later tonight, possibly tomorrow. That, of course, is disappointing to them. Back to you.
Thank you for calling the U.S. EPA hotline. Please hold and someone will be with you in just a moment.
This call may be recorded for quality assurance. Please hold. We will be with you momentarily.
Hello?
Thank you for calling the U.S. EPA hotline. How may I help you? Gracias por llamar a la línea de U.S. EPA. ¿Cómo le puedo ayudar?
What did you say, the last part? I didn't understand it.
Thank you for calling the U.S. EPA hotline. How may I help you?
Perfect. Now I got you. Okay, my name is Luca Zanna. I'm a very concerned American citizen with an accent, as you can hear. And I need to ask some questions, please, because we are very concerned in Mojave County, Arizona, and I would like to have some environmental justice here, because I think there is...
And what, you said your name is Luke?
Yes, Luca, L-U-C-A, Zanna. Zanna.
How do you spell your last name?
Z-A-N-N-A, Luca Zanna.
And what is your phone number?
928.
All right, 928.
Yes.
And your last name, you said is Zanna. C as in Charlie, A-N-N-A?
Z as Zorro, Zanna. Z as Zorro.
Oh, okay.
And just
thank you. All right.
I voted for Obama, so please give me extra attention here. I really deserve some help here, okay? And I'm all for this environmental justice, and I would like to ask for some help, because we noticed that now is coming this big 3 million of gallons of contaminated water from Colorado. And I would like to ask, who is responsible? We heard that EPA workers created this crime. Is that true, that the EPA people there, by accident or act of God, they created this environmental crisis?
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. I wanted to be sure. So now the EPA pretty much is responsible. Now, question is, I know that the EPA is there to punish crimes and to set the example, because we need to have some example here. What's, first of all, going to happen to these people that they pretty much polluted almost 3 states and the Colorado River and killing millions of fishes and contaminating our water? Are they going to jail? Are they going to send to the gulags, FEMA camps, anything like that? Can we do?
Well, this is what I can do. I can go ahead and, write down all your questions, so I can send it to the person that will call you shortly and give you all the details, so you can go deeply with all the details, and that person can let you know. What is your address?
Yes, my address is 6405. Let me give you the easy P.O. Box. P.O. Box 6303. Kingman, Arizona.
Kingman, Arizona.
86401. And don't forget, I voted for Obama, so I really would like to get some extra, speed.
You voted for Obama.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, we are for Obama here. We are very good communists for Obama here. We love social justice and all this stuff. So I need to have some help. And I would like to know accountability, because these employees from the, EPA must be punished in public, and we would go also for Sharia law in case we have to do it here. Maybe some fustigation or, I don't know, something must be done as an example, because I know if I have a wood stove, an old-fashioned wood stove, I am pretty much, in big trouble here. The EPA justly is trying to condemn, the wood stove. They're so dangerous for the environment. We need to stop this wood stove. But now think about it. If the wood stove, they are bad, imagine this environmental crime, 3 million gallons of water contaminated.
Right.
I mean, we must set an example. Otherwise, what Cuba's going to think about us, and Russia and China. We need to be good comrades here. So I really appreciate your help, and I hope this administration is going to show that we are on the right track for social justice around the world. Otherwise, we need to get paid more carbon taxes, I hope. But anyway, anything else can you say about if we need to evacuate the area, maybe with these 3 million gallons of water coming to us? Should we pack and go somewhere else?
Okay, let me actually take a note of that.
Yeah, I mean, should we be concerned about these 3 million gallons of water all contaminated with arsenic coming through the Colorado River and Mojave County? Should we pack our stuff and leave, or we are safe to drink? Can we drink? Can we?
Okay, I already sent all, all that we were talking about to a person that will call you shortly and let you know all the questions you need to know, okay?
Perfect. Very good. Lisa, you've been
Thank
great.
you very much for...
Thank you very much, and God bless Obama and all this stuff, okay?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Bye-bye.
Very good. By the way, you're on Love, Guns, and Freedom Radio Show, and we love you, okay?
Thank you.
Very good.
Bye-bye.
Very good. Good. Thank you. God bless Obama. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm trying to keep it simple, try to keep it sweet. I want to believe this woman working there, she's just a regular woman. She's trying to pay bills. At the same time, I'm disgusted, by the way. I'm disgusted by everything. First of all, so disturbing the fact that supposed to be America here, and they start to speak to me. Before even I show my accent, all I said was, hello. Do I sound like, I don't know, a foreigner just because I say hello? And even I was a foreigner. Maybe I was from China. Maybe I was from Germany. Maybe I'm from another country. Why should you speak to me in Spanish? And I have a lot of friends Spanish. This is not about being against Spanish. It's about being Americans. Okay? This is disgusting. And by the way, I want to give you the phone number of this useless, disgusting, fascistic. I don't know what other words I can say on the radio. Otherwise, they're going to get beeped everywhere here. EPA. EPA. I hope I spell it out right. Call this 800 line that we pay our tax dollars. Call this useless person because, as much as she's nice, she's useless. Nobody called me back. This is a recorded phone call, and nobody ever called me back. This is just a show. How do you say in America? Show, a ponytail? No. Dog and pony show? Whatever. This is a farce. Call this bunch of leeches eating our tax dollar, increase it by numbers, creating more dramas and disaster and than everybody else out there. This country was doing great without the EPA. And since we have created this monster at federal level, we are going completely towards the self-destruction. So let's call them. Write it down. 844-60-79700. 844-607-9700. And say whatever you want to say. I'm not going to tell you what to say. If you understand what's going on here, this is complete tyranny. At this point, at least you still have some sort of a freedom of speech. Okay? Use it. Don't be afraid. That's where we are coming to. Seriously, guys. I'm not kidding. I mean, do you realize the same EPA, because Obama, no even says, Obama doesn't say anything. He's a puppet. He's just enforcing this globalist agenda. Then now we'll go there. This Agenda 21. The EPA just a few months ago said that pretty much the old-fashioned wood stove, they must be banned. You're not going to be able anymore to buy an old-fashioned wood stove because the new wood stove you're going to buy, they're going to be so expensive, by the way. They're going to have so many filters and filtration that it's going to be like almost impossible and affordable. But they are concerned about your wood stove, but they're not concerned about pouring intentionally, or I don't care how, yes or not, but the point they did it, they made it, 3 million gallons of water contaminated with arsenic and many other toxic metal, and before that there is much more than that. These are the worst of the worst, and I'm sorry. If you are an EPA guy who's just trying to pay bills, find another job. Seriously, go find another job. Don't work for Hitler. Okay? Because you're not saving the environment. If you're really serious about saving the environment, let's start to face reality. Let's look at the quality of the air. Let's look at GMO. Let's face this. I mean, come on, guys. If you really believe that Obama is Santa out there, or Jesus Christ, look what he's doing with Congress, not just him. GMO, this poisonous thing, this dangerous thing, this creation of the devil, pretty much. If you don't believe on the devil, believe in whatever you want to do, but this stuff kills you. You understand? I mean, the University of France made a research that after 3 generations with lab rats, doesn't take much, 3 generations with lab rats, they screw all day, so a few months they reached that. They were all sterile, and they started to develop cancers all in the intestines. And they pretty much now putting it everywhere. Everywhere, every type of food is going to become completely contaminated by GMO. You know what is the worst part? Obama, the man of the people, Obama, the guy that's supposed to be better than the other side of bastards, they are all working together, as I said, is for it. And Congress pretty much passed a law that now the states cannot even anymore write legislations, they will pretty much, ask to label on the products if this is GMO or not. Think about it. Vermont passed a law. And guess what? The response of Congress, because Vermont passed a law that they wanted to give the opportunity, the right to customers, to consumers, to know if this is GMO or not, so we can decide. No. We cannot put this anymore. Talking about fascism, talking about freedom of speech. Now, you tell me that a manufacturer cannot even display anymore if this is GMO or not. This is serious. This is serious. This is serious. I mean, this is freak me out. You know what freaks me out? Not much what they're doing. It freaks me out the response of the American people. How can you still go to watch a football game until we fix this country? You should pretty much freak out all night. You should start to really realize that it's like you're raping your wife, your dogs, and your children. Because that's what they're doing to us right now. They're raping us. They're raping us in our pockets. They're raping us in our soul. They're raping us everywhere. In the environment. This is not just dying of a, clean death. Death pretty much, before we die, we're going to suffer. We're going to be milked like cow. You understand that? So House passes bill banning labeling of GMO. And of course now, that was July the 23rd. A few weeks ago, I already talked, but I like to refresh it. Okay? On Thursday afternoon, the House of Representative of whom? Of these corporations. That's what they are representing, not the people. Passed a controversial bill that would ban state and local food labeling laws in favor of a federal standard for voluntary labeling of genetically engineering food. In vote of 275 against 150, the House approved House Resolution 1599, known as the Safe and Accurate Food Labeling Act. You like the way they use all of these fancy, cute names, like the Patriot Act, National Defense Authorization Act, and this one, the Safe, Accurate Food Labeling Act. This is just pure fascism. That's what it is. Obama now will show his true colors again. So that's all I'm saying, guys. Now let me tell you exactly the big picture. First of all, let me talk straight. They want us dead. They want us enslaved. They want us pretty much in misery first. They need to destroy us economically first, that we're going to be so broke, so poor, that we cannot even fight back. We're not even going to have the money for the gas money, to go to protest in front of the office of these politicians. But who is behind? Politicians? No. Obama? No. It's just the front face. It's just the puppet that you see today. A few years ago, there was Bush puppet, then there was the other one, now there is Obama. At the end of the day, these presidents, they are not even elected. They are selected. If you don't believe me, that's fine. Go ahead. If you want to laugh at me, that's fine. But this is reality. This is not just the reality of America. Now it's the reality of the world, or at least most of it. Few countries really, they're out of this control. Who is behind? Did everybody say, okay, who are these? They are called the elite. You want to call them Illuminati, you want to call them whatever you want. But they didn't happen just today. These people have been around for hundreds of years. If you want to look at the Illuminati history, just go find out. In Germany, when it was founded, but it was even before that. The point is there is a very close group of families out there. They pretty much gain position of power through the centuries, mostly in private banks, creating private banks. And these banks pretty much started to corrupt and control governments. I'm talking about in Europe, in England, Germany, the Rothschild. It's not just a name. Just Google it. More than them. The Bank of Italy is not a bank of the state of Italy, of the country. It's a private bank. So all these central banks in Europe, the European Central Bank is created by a bunch of private bankers. So the idea is pretty simple. Let me tell you. We the people, the government for the people, by the people, is just an illusion. Doesn't exist anymore. The government, they are pretty much now controlled by corporations and bankers. All this treaty, all this, the NAFTA and CAFTA and the TPP, what do you think? If you're a Democrat, you still believe that really help you out? You really believe that these frauds from both parties, but look also the Democratic Party, how much they push for this NAFTA and CAFTA and all this free trade. That is not about free trade. That was just complete corporatism, complete fascism. All they needed to destroy was the middle class. They needed to destroy the workers because they need to destroy America. To destroy America, they understand they need to make it pretty much subservient, dependent on other nations. That's how you create the new world order, the global government. Everybody must be in need of somebody else. There is no more sovereignty. There is no more independence, autonomy. But more important, they want us broke, economically, morally, and spiritually, and physically. And why? Because they want us dead at the end. So let me go through briefly. This is pretty much going to be the rest of the show. If you don't like it, turn it off. I don't care. Seriously. If you want to be entertained, if you want to laugh and watch some boobs, open some of this stupid Fox channel or NBC, whatever. Let's start with that. Every news that you watch today, every main network, the main 5, they are controlled pretty much by 5 families. Or at least by 5 corporations, put it this way. And all these newspapers out there, even the local newspapers, most of them, they are controlled by bigger newspapers. So information, 90% what you see through the mainstream media, is just plain BS. It's just an illusion. Oh yeah, there is NBC that's supposed to be for the lefty and Fox News supposed to be for the right-wingers. It's just an hypocrisy. It's just an illusion. They want to keep you separated, give you some, some crap on the left, some crap on the right. At the end, they all get together when it comes to the right things. More wars? Oh yeah. More unconstitutional wars. They're not even war. Oh yeah. NBC, go for it. War on drugs? Oh yeah. GMO? Oh yeah. Vaccine? Oh yeah. It's all good. Oh, nobody wants to talk about real facts. Where is that airplane that hit the Pentagon? We're never allowed to see it. And you still have O'Reilly saying that, don't you see the plane? No, there is no plane. Where are the engines? Titanium engines. Where are the bodies? The biggest fraud in plain view. Hitler used to say, biggest is the lie, more they're going to believe it. Americans, we've been lied. And I'm sorry to say that. I'm sorry because this is coming from a man who came to this country because I really love this country. And I love it now even more. But I want to take it back. I cannot just be silent. I cannot go around and say this is the land of the free, home of the brave, when we are pretty much bought out by China and we are under the control of a private central bank. And we are pretty much living under slavery pre-Magna Carta with this National Defense Authorization Act and the Patriot Act. All you got to do now, you can pretty much just be outspoken, exercise your First Amendment, something that they don't like, and they can label you domestic terrorist. And according to the National Defense Authorization Act, go find out, please. Don't trust me. Any one of us, American-born or not American-born, doesn't matter. We can be arrested on U.S. soil by the military without probable cause and being disposed in a dungeon indefinitely. As I said many times, not even in Russia they do this anymore, probably. Not even in China. Probably now in China they give you a felony trial and they shoot you in the back of the head. So that's the reality, my friends. Let's start with that. If you live before pre-Magna Carta, if you don't know what is Magna Carta, go figure it out. I'm not going to tell you right now. If you don't know that, you probably, you shouldn't even listen to this show. Seriously. If a WAP, can I say WAP? I'm going to say WAP. Like myself, born in Italy, can understand and learn the Magna Carta. You should do too. Okay? So we are before that. We're in the Middle Ages now. So there is no more freedom. If there is no more due process, we are gone. Right there, every Democrat, every Republican, you still tell me this is land of the free, you are insane. Go to get some medications. Now let's start to look exactly how they want to pretty much destroy you. First of all, economically, I said, these private central bankers, in this case the Federal Reserve, private Federal Reserve, shareholders, they are all private bankers, and among those, also they, go find out, I'm not going to tell you. Go find out. Anyway, let's put it this way, Europeans, European banks, maybe also a queen. But beside that, with that system right there, we are in bondage. Every dollar we print is a dollar of debt. And before 1913, we did not have the income tax. The federal income tax did not exist. We were somehow free. Yes, you work, you labor, you keep it for yourself. Now, back to the ages of the slaves or the Middle Ages. You go to work on the field, in the fields, and when you come back, if you got two birds, one bird for the king and one for you. All right? Right there. You're a slave. And I don't care. There's always this said, if the government would tax you 90% or 100%, you would be a complete slave. They tax you 50%, you're 50% slaves. It's still stealing out of you. And remember, if you have the illusion that you say, pay your fair share, that money, the tax dollar must go to services, not a dollar of your income tax goes to services. It is just to pay the interest on the debt to a private monstrosity called Federal Reserve. That's it. Go figure it out. There was also a congressional investigation launched by Reagan. You may like it or not. I don't like Reagan either. I mean, he got some good stuff, but he did also many bad stuff. So I'm not a fan of Reagan. I couldn't care less. It was cool, in many aspects, but it was also a disaster. It was paid off. Or at least it was control after they showed him, for sure. But the point is, he did this. Congressional investigation, he proven that pretty much what I'm saying, not a dollar of your income tax goes to any service, really. All in waste and interest to these private central banks. Right there, we've been scammed. Right there, we are slave. Then let's start to look. The news, the media, it's all control. All these networks, why do you even still pay the cable? Why do you like to give millions of dollars? I mean, all of us pay, I don't pay anymore anything. I blasted my cable years ago. But the point is, every one of you guys, you still pay for cable, you're pretty much feeding the monster. Think about it. It's all lies. Nobody wants to talk about real issue because every time somebody tries to talk about a real issue, they try to put them down. It's like the mafia. Okay? Even the people that you think they're good ones, there is a point that they stop when they have to stop. You think I could be allowed to go on the national news or whatever, try to talk about the Federal Reserve, investigate the Federal Reserve, audit the Federal Reserve, or talk about vaccines, when you know for sure that every sponsor out there, the big pharma, for example, control at least 50% of the market, at least a good part of it. You think they're going to be allowed, the network, to talk about the dangers of vaccine? No way. So the news is the television was pretty much an instrument created by the CIA to control the masses. That's a fact. It's a weapon of mass destruction. Hopefully I say it right. So right there, they control your news. They control your money. They can pretty much evaluate, depreciation, control the currency. If you're on Social Security, you're a slave anyway. Think about it. They got your money without your consent. And I don't call that entitlement at all. They stole your money. They took your money without your will, free will. Now you want them back. You should get them back. You should get them back all. But guess what? With inflation, they're going to give you pretty much penny on the dollar. You're already screwed. And maybe in a few years from now, they already said, the next 2 or 3 years, they're going to be insolvent. So they stole your money. Right there. Is not that slavery? Somebody that takes your money without your consent and also scam you. At least the Ponzi scheme was based on free will. The person was needed enough to join the Ponzi scheme. No, you have no choice here. Your money gets taken out of your paycheck before even you can breathe. So right there, you're not free. Sorry. You've been screwed. I'm sorry. And if you're still taking your Social Security, good for you. And hurry up. Spend it before it's too late. Buy some real stuff. Buy some gold and silver. Don't put it in the bank because pretty much, this is my personal opinion. Don't get me like financial advisor. But you know what? The banks pretty much control you also how much money you can take out. Try to get out cash out of your bank. Let's say you got $20,000. You want cash. They're going to laugh at you. Like you think really this is your money. Just Google the news out there. People got arrested because they were pretty much complaining, wanting to take like their $50,000 back in cash. They couldn't. So no, you don't control even your money. So that's another aspect. Now, let's talk about it, hurry up here. This global elite, they control everything. They control also the pharmaceutical companies, okay? They pretty much, they want you strong enough, healthy enough to work as a slave, but not too healthy, otherwise you would be independent. So remember, this big pharma is based on the fact they don't want to heal you. They don't want to give you health. They want to create customers. They don't even to try to find the causes of diseases. They want to just cure the final endings. They want to just cure, let's say, not even cure, just suppress the symptoms. That's what they do. This is a scam. And look now, all this vaccine. We talk about it. Why are they pushing it so much? They're pushing so much for this vaccine. Because this vaccine, and I already talked about that last Sunday, and another Sunday ago, it's a big control to keep you sick. And if you still don't believe me, that's fine. I'm not going to spend any more time on this right now, today. There are documents after documents proven. People working for the industry of the vaccines. Pretty much saying that these vaccines, not only just with the mercury and all the different preservatives, what they create in you, okay? But there are also agents in this vaccine that pretty much can completely weaken your immune system and create cancer. And doctors that they were really, dedicated to try to expose this, they're dying. They've been killed just the last few weeks. So think about it. Think about it. There's an incredible article on naturalnews.com. Says cancer industry profits locked in by Nagal's molecule injected into humans via vaccines. The spurs tumor growth. That's why I explained this aggressive vaccine push. You know what? If you don't believe it, that's fine. I'm not here to be right. I'm just trying to give you a warning. If you have a kid, child, children, even for yourself, I don't get paid to be right. I don't care. I just say as a human being, not even as an American, as a human being, just check it out. Don't just believe everything the doctor's saying. Just find out. So they want you pretty much, there is a plan for population control. That's a fact. We talk about that. And they start to pretty much control the food. GMO. They want to give you the garbage food, full of pesticides. They want to give you vaccines. There is no more anymore sun out there with all this, chemtrails, weather modification. If you don't believe it, that's not a show. That's fine. It's so much information out there. There's no even more the sun out there. So there is no more vitamin D in your body. Look, Google Codex Alimentarius. What they do in this globalist. They're controlling also the vitamins. They don't want to give you any more the nutrients. So you have garbage food, completely poor of nutrients. Then you have GMO. Then you have all these other toxins pretty much released by the FDA that, supposed to be the government protectors. Look what they're giving it to us, like the aspartame. That's just one word. That should be enough. Google it. Aspartame. Go find out the scam with that piece of crap called Rumsfeld behind when he was at head of this situation with the aspartame, this corporation that was pretty much in charge of, patenting and creating this aspartame. Go find out the scheme. So, think about it. Food, estrogen in the meat, fluoride in the water, vaccines. Right there. You're going to get sick. You're going to get sick pretty bad. You're not going to make it. If you make it, you're going to be completely under the control of these medications. Then don't forget about these psychodrugs. Now, every time a kid, a little child, is just being a child, of course, drinks all these freaking sodas with all this corn syrup. It's going to be all like on high. Oh, this little boy needs some help. Oh, boom. And they give him all these psychiatric drugs to make him like a zombie. I mean, are you kidding me? And now when you're on psychiatric drugs, because whenever you go to the doctor, hey, doctor, I have a headache. Oh, no problem. Boom, Zoloft. Oh, no problem. Boom, get another one of these. You're going to be on the record and no more gun rights. Hey, you're depressed. Oh. So, guys, this is serious. This is really serious. I'm just scratching the surface here. I mean, I'm not even getting close. All I can say, guys, this is for me the only reason why I'm on this show. Seriously. I want to try to reach out. I don't care if it's, 3 people listening to me or 3,000, 3 million. I don't care. I do what I can. This is my duty. The show is called Love, Guns, and Freedom. We'll talk about freedom, talk about love, talk about guns. But more important, this is about love. It's love for freedom, love for humanity. Love against evil. Because this is pure evil. And there is a point that these people behind, I don't care if they're humans or not, the point is they are working for evil. That's a fact. And now look, they want your guns, of course. Why? Because pretty much that's the last stage for complete domination. And, by the way, just to let you know, if you still think that you live in a free country, because, hey, people say, after all, you may be a little extreme, guess what? How would you feel now if pretty much without due trial, the government, they can take your passport? Yes, no due process, they can take your passport. So that's a new legislation, not a law. Pretty much the government passed, Congress passed, and Obama voted for it. HR 237. I don't have time to pretty much go through this. I would take another show just for this. So there's another little things. I'll give you keywords out there. Codex Alimentarius, go find out. Agenda 21, go find out. What do you think? All this EPA scam, the carbon tax, they want to make you now pay just because you breathe. Carbon dioxide is supposed to be now, a pollutant. Really? I cannot even have any more breathing. I cannot even fart anymore. They want to tax cows. They want to tax me and you breathing. This is complete global slavery. And we're supposed to go under this global form of government, unelected pieces of garbage, devils called United Nations. Seriously, supposed to give up my American rights, my Bill of Rights, for what? To be a global slave? I gotta die before I got that. I'm not gonna be alive. I'm gonna fight all the way. And I hope you fight with me. And I'm not just trying to say we gotta fight with guns. We gotta fight with our First Amendment. We gotta get out and wake up our neighbors. We gotta wake up our family. We gotta wake up everybody we can. That's all I beg you for. That's all I beg you for. Please do it. Spread the show. If you want to support the show, it's very simple. As you can hear, I'm not really commercial friendly. I don't expect very soon to have a pharmacy out there to give me a sponsor. So, if you want to support me, go to my website, Zanna, Z-A-N-N-A, art.com, zannaart.com, or just go to lovegunsfreedom.com. There is my music. I write songs. You can buy any of my songs for just 99 cents. If you want to buy the CD, I appreciate it. I'm not even asking you for donations. I give you something. Buy anything I produce, one of my paintings or prints or songs, whatever. In this way, you support the show. Thank you. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom, and ready for hour number 2. It's all about guns.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.FM network. Here we go, guys. This is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and also on United States.FM network. Second hour. It's all about guns, training, self-defense, Second Amendment, and everything between. Now, one thing I always say, for me, this show, it's, by the way, if you hear some background of dogs, fainting and breathing heavy, yes, they're real dogs. This is not a sound effect. Today is kind of a weird day. It's kind of thundering, or at least looks like it's coming down. So my dogs, they're always kind of freaking out, and they come here under my chair. Anyway, regardless, what I was saying, this show is giving me the opportunity, first of all, to really challenge my ideas, challenge myself, learn from others, and also to meet very interesting people, I find a lot of excitement when I meet people that I do not agree, because there's always some sort of interesting side also on that. But when I find people that also we agree, and we are pretty much on the same side, it really gives me hope, make me feel less lonely in this world, because kind of sometimes pretty lonely to see the zombies out there and realize that we are facing this reality. Instead, I really believe we are more than we think. Today, I wanted to bring back with me, in this hour, all about guns, on Love, Guns, and Freedom, a great guy. Really, I really enjoy his friendship and also enjoy his mind. The guy is taking it seriously, studying really the principles of this republic, the foundation, and also different topics that are really close to me. His name is Glen Davis from North Arizona, exactly somewhere between Flagstaff and Williams, or maybe it's Williams. Glen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, and actually it is Williams.
Perfect. I wanted to be sure. Anyway, thank you first of all. I want to thank you again because, you gave me generously beautiful some of your books. I got here in front of me Glen's Constitution, my reference to the meaning of the Constitution. Then I have Concerning the Militia that I'm going through. I was studying it a few days ago. I started it. A Shroud of Evidence, and also the essay on the Constitution of the United States. That's another book. This is not yours, but it is, edited by Glen Davis, yes. Anyway.
Yeah, I did some editing. It was originally Paul L. Ford, and I added more of the anti-federalist arguments.
Perfect. So I really want to thank you because a lot of information. I always like books. I love books. Among things I like besides pasta and guns is books. That's my three things I love the most, besides friendship, of course. So anyway, I want to thank you. And today is the hour about guns. So I want to try to pretty much talk with you. We can ride shotgun a little bit, and I wanted to share some ideas on trainings. I found a new training idea for rifle that I really enjoy. I think it's great, especially if you want to train indoor, saving thousands of dollars in ammunition. I tried this new system. It's working. It's great, and I really like it. I wanted to share with people. We will talk a little bit about news, and also I want to talk about your books, especially the one about the Second Amendment concerning the militia, if you want, or anything you want. But before I start, I want to give you the floor. Anything we should know, updates from your part of the world in Williams, North Arizona?
Well, so far, right now, Williams is trying to set up community preparedness teams with Oath Keepers, and I'm working with them on that, and that's taking up a lot of my time, doing a lot of research on EMP attacks and medical. Yes. I downloaded a bunch of medical stuff from, which is interesting. People need to know there's a lot of information out there on the internet for free. A lot of PDF files. You can. I downloaded one from 1971, which covered a lot of. It was during the time when people were wanting to build shelters and stuff.
Yes.
And it has some really good information just for general preparedness. So it's called Family Preparedness Book or some emergency manual or something like that. But I just found these by typing in, military manual. You can go to archive.org. That's archive without an S.
Yes.
And you can see videos, military training videos from combat training videos for like handguns. You can the Federation of American Scientists has a lot of good information on there. So you can look around and anybody that wants to start a team of their own they don't need the Oath Keepers. They can do it on their own.
Yes.
If they're not doing it already. And you can look up these manuals. I've got the hospital corpsman manuals from the Navy. I've got Army manuals. I'm just having a hard time getting through them all because there's so many.
If I can say something, it's so important because, knowledge is the first weapon to know, at least in theory, things that we can apply in real life. But, guys out there, if you think you have all your life, maybe you still think that the internet is going to be there. There is never a time like today because the internet may go down. So at least download all these PDF files, try to put them on a hard drive or print them out also, and try to start to go through have them ready and start to study them now, because some stuff could be really save your life in case of an emergency, But the idea is exactly, this is not just about the oath keepers. That, by the way, if you want to join them, that's great. It's about be responsible as family, as individuals, as community, to start to network, to know each other. The oath keepers can give you a great advantage. They have a database system that you can pretty much connect, and they put you in contact with people that they're already there. And that's great. But, you can start your own group, as you said, and form your whatever group you want, And I had the oath keepers on my show. People say, I don't want to pay a fee, a membership. That's fine. I agree, too. I don't want to pay membership. But at the same time, if somebody wants to and is willing to support the organization, it's called free market. It's called free choice, choosing wherever you want to. All I care that you do something. That's my only goal. So that's great.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited. Now, we share on this hour pretty much everything between training and also opportunities. Like, for example, I go out there, try to look for good deals, very good deals. So the best deals normally I buy on ammunitions and guns. And when I mention these companies, they are not my sponsors. I just do this because I really want to give a good information to my listeners. So please, listen up, guys. If you shoot the average, AR-15 platform on 223 Remington or 5.56, I found a very good deal this week on 1,000 rounds of 55 grain 223 full metal jacket Wolf by the Russian company made by Barnaul, the Wolf made by Barnaul, anyway, for $219. No sale tax if you live in Arizona, because this company is not in Arizona, and $219 for 1,000 round full metal jacket for training. These are not exactly top, there is no brass, it's not reloadable, it's just steel case, but they work. I have shot those through my several AR-15, never a problem. And they get a little dirty, that's fine, but they are training ammunition. The point is, I didn't find a cheaper price than that, and especially you pay only $16 for shipping for 1,000 rounds. What do you think about this deal, Glenn?
That sounds like a deal to me. I'm not. I don't have 223 right now. Mm-hmm. I just got a Mossberg 500, by the way.
Okay.
And it's really nice. Came with the pistol grip and 18.5 and a 22-inch barrel. So I got hunting and protection.
Yeah, the shotgun, as I said, it's a tool, very versatile, that you can use pretty much from 5 yards all the way to, let's say, 100 yards with a slug, especially if you have good quality slugs. But the idea is always a defensive tool anyway. They say, the handgun defend your person, shotgun you defend your castle, the rifle you defend freedom. So it's a great tool for your family, your castle. Now, next thing I would like to invite you as resources. I know everybody has family and budgets to manage, but a rifle, it's a very important thing. Let me give you a deal I found about rifles also on this platform, the AR-15, and also this is for all the listeners out there. In case you still don't have an AR-15, there is something that I really like. It's the Ruger AR-556. Okay.
I've heard of that one. I just saw the report on that one. It looks nice.
Yeah. I mean, did you? First of all, Ruger, it's our Arizona company. Not too far from you.
Yeah, right down in Prescott.
Exactly. And sometimes they done in the past political choices that I wasn't really happy during the Clinton or other situation. But regardless, it's a good company. They got good products. More important, I want to find now the best price for the best rifle for people that don't have. So there is this 5.56 Ruger AR-15. It's a carabine, has a flip rear sight, and 16 inches barrel. Comes with 3 magazines. Okay. It's a magazine pack, 3 magazines, 30 rounds mag. And bottom line, it is down to $629.99 on cdnnsports.com. C Charlie Delta November Sports.com. $629. When there was the time of a couple of years ago with trying to pass the assault weapon, that was probably $1,500 rifle then. But it's not a bad price for an AR, especially good quality AR. So something to consider for the listeners that they want to use the AR platform. I think it's pretty decent deal. Collapsible stock, and pretty much you got the platform or the M4. So anyway, that's something that. What would be your next project as a rifle? What would you like to get in your heart?
Well, I've been looking at the getting a 80%er and building an AR-15.
Okay.
Simply because it helps me to understand the weapon better. You know what I mean? If I put it together.
Mm-hmm.
And I caution people. I have friends that are gunsmiths that will help me do this.
Yeah.
People don't realize they get this and they put it all together and go out and shoot it. You have to test it before if you plan to build one, you really, really need to have a friend who's a gunsmith and who knows how to test it properly, so you don't, if it blows up, it doesn't blow up in your hands.
Yeah, I mean, and more important, think about it in the moment of need. If you need that weapon to function, you want to be sure it's completely accurate,
Right.
I want to remind that. Go ahead.
If you're not mechanically minded,
Yes.
I always recommend buying.
Yes.
From a company it's already tested, But if you the 80%er is another option if you have people that know how to help you test it.
Yes, and also another thing, I'm not, as you say, a technician or a gunsmith. I like to learn, but sometimes I prefer to have things already done. Let's put it in this way. Okay?
Exactly.
Because when it comes to guns, I like to shoot them. I'm pretty decent, of course, as a shooter, but I'm not really that technical, and I don't want to ruin a gun. I would be so mad if I ruin a brand new gun. But I have my little projects that I did, as a secondary gun. I have two. One was this Plum Crazy. I also had a YouTube. It used to be a company in Lake Havasu. They used to do this lower, pretty much complete lower with the stock and everything ready to go, made of this sort of a polymer, almost like a plastic material. And they were pretty good. Sometimes I had a problem, but it was something that because I did not assemble correctly, and the customer service used to be very good. They put it back together for me. Anyway, the point is that I got a lower for like $99 ready to go, okay? And now there is a new company, okay? It's called a New Frontier, and they are from Las Vegas. And I also got that through them, and I paid for a lower about $120 complete. And I think they're also a little better quality than the Plum Crazy. By the way, Plum Crazy went out of business. But bottom line is, I was able to get together an AR-15 with like $120 lower, and then you can shop around for different ready-to-go uppers. Okay, for example, there is a very good deal now, as I said, also on CD&N Sports, the same place where we were talking about this Ruger. There are great deals on upper that you can get an upper for about $250. Okay. And that's not bad. You get $250 for the upper. Then you get an extra $120 for a lower, like from New Frontier in Nevada. And you get a rifle for less than $500. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's something to consider. I mean, seriously. So
and you can always, the other thing I recommend is that people, when they go to online companies, type in something like the name of the company, customer service, complaints, or something like that.
Yeah.
And you will get a list of, complaints or whatever that company might have out there on the web.
Yeah.
And that helps. It's not always accurate because everybody's going to complain about something. So you got to kind of weigh what they say. But that's a good idea to check the company online, just to get an idea of their customer service value. Like, for example, I saw Rock Island Armory. I saw a guy received the weapon, a .45, and there was something wrong with it. I can't remember what it was exactly, but he called the company the company paid to have it shipped back and fixed it for him, including put on a new combat trigger for him as a bonus, and sent it back.
Oh, that's good.
At their cost.
Yeah.
So
there are good customer service out there. Many companies. Another one, if you want to talk about customer service, I was so impressed, was High Point. High Point, it's an American company and does very inexpensive. You know, they want to call them, this Friday night special, whatever.
Saturday night special, yeah.
Saturday night special, Friday night. Saturday night special guns. Instead, I call them affordable guns for working people. Okay, I mean, I got, just because I like to have guns, I got from them like a 45 and also a 9mm. I was able to buy a 45 brand new a few years ago for like $130. And it's ugly as a monster, but it works. It's heavy, it's made of steel, and it has lifetime warranty. No question asked. Think about it. You can buy an inexpensive, but it works great. 9mm from High Point for like $120. And
I got a High Point from them quite a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 45. I wasn't happy with it. I still use it. I still have it. It kicks, boy. It's good. It's got some power. But the newer model that I looked them up online, the newer model 45 they have is excellent. It has a regular magazine release.
Uh-huh.
Mine has it on the handle.
Okay.
So they popped out.
Yeah, you got the other one, yeah.
Now they've upgraded their 45s, so I would say take a look at them if you need something now for home defense or something.
Exactly.
I would say they're a good company to look at.
And and that's the point, guys. At the end of the day, you do what you can, when you can, and means now. Because I like to have a gun now. They have maybe one gun in 6 months from now, and then of course there are different ways to try to achieve what you want. I always say, try to buy one gun, but buy the right gun you want. And if you have access to a credit card, I don't like credit cards, but sometimes for the right purpose can be useful. I remember, for example, there is this company that is still out there, great company. It's called Bud Guns Shop, budgunshop.com. I think they're out of Oklahoma, I guess, or Kentucky, I'm not sure. Anyway, I bought several guns from them, and the point was they used to have this great General Electric credit card that you could put a gun, any gun you buy from them, on 12 months, interest-free. Think about it. So you can buy an expensive gun. Let's say, I don't know, I bought my first M14 there, and you pay a reasonable price every month, interest-free. Unfortunately, a few years ago, General Electric started the trend to remove all these, special support for gun shop, okay? No more financing guns. That's another part of the... But regardless, there are ways out there, if you can still use a credit card, make payments, get the gun you want. If you really see that it's out of your budget, a Glock or any other gun you like, settle also for a High Point. But more important, train with it. Because if you train and the gun is reliable, that's all it matters. That's the most important thing, And so that's pretty much, I'm glad we're talking about this, because the idea also of this show is not just talking about training, but also give idea for people that they're new or they want to buy a new gun, where to start, So I just sent you the link, by the way, of this new Frontier Armory lower, that the one I bought a few years ago. I made my little kit. I found an incredible deal right now on another website, even cheaper than the main manufacturer. The website is called JoeBobOutfitters.com. JoeBobOutfitters.com. Hope I pronounced it right. Anyway, you can get a complete lower made of this polymer with retractable stock for $109.95. I mean,
that's the stock for the receiver?
Yeah, that's the receiver, complete receiver, ready to go. You got stock, you got pistol grip, and all the receiver. I mean, it's amazing. I'll send you the link right there on Skype. Check it out, because if you want to make your own kit, I tell you, I don't think even the parts would cost you like that. And
because I haven't found anything that low price.
And look at the reviews. I mean, they got good reviews, 5 stars almost. And I got my own, and I tell you, it works. Very reliable. The trigger, it's a little. You need some. Let's say you need to shoot a couple hundred rounds to make it smoother. But after you pass that stage, it's a very reliable AR-15. Then at that point, you can find any upper you want, and you're ready to go with less than $450. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad thing to think. So, guys, think about it. If you want to get an AR-15, I just gave you another great tip here. This New Frontier Armory. It's a lower, complete lower. You can get it on joeboboutfitters.com. Check it out. Now, talking about a little bit about training before we go into your books. I found a new way to train for rifle that I hope, people can think about it, because the idea now, you go out there, you go to the range, you need to find a place, maybe you live far away, maybe it's cold, maybe a lot of things, maybe a lot of maybes, and more important, the ammunition cost. I found a way you can train at home in the same way you would train on the range with a rifle. Not as much as close combat, but really as, let's say, the rifle as is intended, or at least for main marksmanship. So let me give you first of all, the name of the tool. It's called laser ammo. Okay, it's laser ammo, and the company it's Training Technologies, and the website is laser-ammo.com. I'm going to do a YouTube about it so I can show better to my listeners pretty much how it works. Bottom line, you have two different parts. One is the laser itself that comes like almost a round, but it's not a round, but you put it insert in your chamber, and this laser is activated by the trigger of your rifle. Now, there are two different calibers. One is the 5.56 for your AR-15, and the other one is 7.62 by 51. That, by the way, I'm getting in the mail this week. Right now, I have my 5.56. So that's number one. Right there, even just with that one, you can put, let's say, for example, 1 square inches target or 2 square inches target. Let's say small targets, even at 10 yards inside your home, and start to reproduce different type of positions, figures like standing, sitting, prone, squatting, and you can pretty much do like you were shooting at the range, because every time you squeeze the trigger, you will see the laser imposed on your target. So you can get creative, scaling down targets for your distance. I like to shoot always at 4 minutes of angle. That means at 25 yards, I need to have 1 square inch group with iron sight. So let's put it in this way. If you're shooting at, let's say at 10 yards, you cut it in half almost, okay? But the point, even if it's not exactly 4 minutes of angle, you can recreate a very good idea of what could be rifleman marksmanship at long distance, or at least above more than 100 yards, okay? So that's number one. One other thing comes with this laser pad, little laser, it is the target. They also give you, you can buy also the laser ammo electronic target, that, by the way, I have in front of me right now. What I like about this target as a different option, pretty much the most important thing, you have the first option, you have like a timer. That means you start the timer, and when you hit that target with your laser, the target will stop, okay? And it will stop, and it will give you exactly the time. So, for example, let's say, Glenn, you want to start to do a training that from standing, you want to put this target. And by the way, the target itself, this little electronic target, comes with different type of exchangeable targets. But the bottom line is about 1 inch, 1 square inch, with different shapes. So you can put this, let's say, even at 10 yards or 5 yards, and you can have at least reproducing at least like you have in a target at 100 yards or 200 yards, okay? So let's say, number one, you let the beep go, and from this, let's say, standing position, you want to do how long it takes for you to hit the first round on this target, and it will give you the time. Then you can do, for example, the second type of training. You could do how to, from standing, how long it takes to go down on sitting position and hit the target. It gives you the time. And same thing you can do with going from standing to prone position. Or right there on prone, how long it takes to hit the target. And you can start to learn what is our time, your personal time. I think it's an incredible tool. It's dry practice is very important. Did you ever dry practice with your rifle?
Well, that's it. You know, it's listening to what you were saying, I had a lot of ideas in my head going through, especially like in your house, setting up a target for if somebody's ducking behind a wall or something like that. You know, you could, and the other good thing is, one of the hard things to do when you fire is reacquire a target.
Mm-hmm.
So you could, like you were saying, you could actually practice reacquiring a target, you know, several times.
Yeah, they're different. I mean, the dry practice pretty much, you can cover every aspect of marksmanship or close combat, okay? I mean, I dry practice with handgun, I dry practice with shotgun, I dry practice with rifle, and you can dry practice from loading, unloading, emergency reload, tactical reload, and the malfunctions, how to clear malfunctions with handgun, shotgun, or rifle. So there is so many things you can pretty much accomplish. Even just itself, how to be accurate with your shots and verify that. That's why I like the laser, because at least with the, I mean, I used to dry practice with rifle before even I had any laser system, and can still be done. The laser, I think, what I like, especially with this little electronic target, that is pretty much, I think, very nice. It gives you also automatically like a timer. It gives you an immediate response, a very accurate response to see exactly if you were hitting, because the laser will point exactly there and will stop the timer, and it give you also the time. So that's pretty much something. But for people that maybe don't have right now the funds to get this laser ammo, it's on laser-ammo.com. By the way, it's not that expensive. I mean, the little AR-15 laser that you insert in the chamber, it's about $100. It's high quality. It works. Only thing, remember to remove the batteries after you train, otherwise it's gonna get drained after a couple of days. But beside that, think about it. If you go to you can train for thousands of repetitions. How much would cost you? You know, all you have to do change the battery. But how much would cost if you go to every time to the range? Thousands of dollars. You can save a lot of money, and you can train more often. So something to share. I will do a YouTube, much more visual, so at least people can pretty much, you know, visualize. So, and if you buy the little laser to put in the chamber, the little laser cartridge, also try to take a look at this laser ammo responsive target. And at that point, you know, you can also get, for example, if you have a 308, there is also an extension, some sort of an adapter for $35. Something to consider. I got that one because I like to shoot with my M14 too. So anyway, and then, you know, there are different training we can do dry practice. And I will start a series of YouTubes that pretty much I want to share some ideas, especially with the rifle, how to do dry practice exercises at home. You know, any idea, any question you have about that? Anything?
Well, another reason to remove batteries from any electronic equipment that you're not using is they leak.
Yes.
So if you buy this system, and it's a good idea to remove the batteries so they don't leak, unless you plan to use it daily. You know. Exactly.
No, I had that experience. And
if you're going to set it aside, you know, and all your electronic equipment, radios and stuff like that, you know, because they leak.
Yeah, and they can destroy everything. You know, that's very, very, very serious. You're right. I did a mistake. I made a mistake one time myself, and I got a beautiful flashlight. I completely had to clean it up. I almost destroyed, but thankfully I was able to put it back. Now, talking about rifles, you know, another important thing, there are many rifles out there for every budget. At the end of the day, as I said, it is the person who makes the difference. You know, you don't need a $4,000 rifle unless you really have the money. It's you as a person. Sometimes I said, I right to go, if I had to go to war, and I have a right to have with me a person that maybe has just a Mosin Nagant, a very economic, affordable, humble rifle. Everybody can buy for $100, but the person is trained and has exactly clear in his mind the mindset why and how to use this rifle. So rifle, now everything you can get, get something, because of course there are different opportunities out there, and you pick what you think is best for your body, for your situation. But if you're in budget, I'm never going to be enough tired, and boring myself to death to remember. Go to, especially for Arizona people who live in, if you live in close to Prescott, J&G Sales, great selection of Mosinna guns. I love the place. Did you ever go there?
I haven't, but I got one from a friend of mine.
Oh, great.
The old M92. I even found a scope for it.
Wow.
You can find scopes for them. I mean, they're 5 rounds, but you got, you get a stripper clip, and you can reload quick. And don't forget also, there's also the 30-30 and 30-06 with a good hunting rifle with a scope is good for all around use. There's all sorts of options that are not vanity guns, like you were talking about. These guys that buy the $4,000 guns.
Don't get me wrong. If you got the money in the budget, buy everything you like, and that's great. But the point is, at the end of the day, you have 2 arms, 2 hands, and you're going to be having 1 rifle and 1 pistol on you. And
exactly.
If you can, even just today, say, all I have is $200. That's fine. I'd rather to have a person, a law-abiding person, who's willing to train with with a Mosinna gun. Now, they may be having 3 years from now, somebody was going to buy, I don't know, some sort of a fancy SCAR or some other strange, $3,000 rifle, And ammunition, they're still affordable compared to other calibers. They went up, of course, but the 7.62x54 Russian is still pretty affordable. It's comparable to a 308 or 306. And, another place I always like to go is sgmo.com. And especially if you get surplus, they used to be very affordable for let's say, 900 rounds crate. Used to be about $220. No bad. And then you can get, of course, more expensive stuff like the silver tip and especially the steel core stuff. But the point is still cheaper than a 308. And all I can say, you got the rifle. The purpose of the rifle is not to do close combat, is to keep the enemies at least the quarter mile, this magic number, almost 500 yards away from you. And if you train as a rifleman, that's the standard, 4 minutes of angle. So I think that rifle would do it, especially if you have, be sure that the sight is straight, this surplus rifle. That's why when I go to JG Sales in Prescott, I like to go there and inspect the rifle before I buy it. You can look at the barrel, you can look at the rifling, you can look everything. And they're really nice, and they help you out. And I'm telling you, one time I went there a few years ago, it was before Obama economy, when money, they were still somehow going around. And one day I got crazy, I got 7 rifles altogether. And that's like 1 for every day of the week, So it's a nice rifle.
A friend of mine shops down there regularly, or used to, and he's had nothing but good reports about them.
Yep.
I've wanted to go down there. Now that I'll have a vehicle pretty soon, I'm hoping to get down there and check them out myself. But he got a nice M4 with a custom camo stock. I forget what he paid for it, but it was during the big assault rifles, so-called assault rifle scare. They're not assault rifles; they're semi-auto.
Yes.
He had I can't remember exactly the price, but it was like under $800. So I mean, it was a good deal at the time.
Yes, there is.
They really try and put out some good prices down there.
They've been doing this for many years, and I like to talk about all the shops that normally I would shop and normally I shop, and that is also the purpose of the show. I would like, my dream would be to have every law-abiding American person, or even people that they're still here waiting for the status to become an American, but they love this country, they love this republic, and they want ready to defend it. Be ready. Well, that's the idea.
And also, you got to temper the weapon to your particular mission. For example, the reason I went with the Mossberg right now is I'm planning to set up basically a battalion medical station in my van.
Wow.
I want to have the ability, like if I pull up, I'll be able to pull up to an accident, and if there's a doctor there, he can take care of people right there in the van, get them ready for transport. And same if in a bad situation, like if we had a hurricane or something, or a flood or some kind of man-made or natural disaster, the van would be set up to take care of that. But unfortunately, as we've seen in places like Ferguson, not everybody appreciates that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, up here in northern Arizona, we got a lot of people with sense, but some people panic, and you have to be ready to protect this.
There is, you're right. I mean, unfortunately, everybody on this situation, humanity, it's one step close to animals, and sometimes I believe animals behave better than humans in some cases. So we got to be prepared for everything. I agree. So shotgun, it's a great tool, especially if you have variety of ammunition, like from 00 to slugs. Slugs, you can be one of the most devastating rounds. 100 yards with the right, type of slugs, you can still be effective in shooting and hitting, let's say, sides of 20 square inches, like a human body, human torso. But don't forget, slugs can stop cars, can stop vehicles. That's very important. Another great thing, that since we're talking about ideas today, I like this conversation. It goes pretty much from everywhere, talking about opportunities, and try to talk like we were friends at the bar or a coffee place talking about guns.
Right.
And another thing, if you're on a budget, always talking about jngsales.com. That, by the way, is when people think, oh, look, are you pushing this stuff? Yes, I'm pushing this stuff, and as I said, this show is supported by the listeners with your help, downloading my songs or buying my paintings, or pretty much when you go to zannaart.com. All this information I give you, none of them is paying me $1, okay? I just do this because I really believe they're a great opportunity to try to share with my listeners. Now, another great tool, I really believe it's a great deal in value and also practicable and effectiveness. It's the SKS. There are different type of SKS from the Russian, Yugoslavian, and the Chinese. I think they have a very good deal right now at J&G Sales. Chinese SKS, the Type 56, 7.62x39, that's the classic round for the SKS, comes with a bayonet for $289.95. I mean, the SKS, I really think it's a great rifle. That would be a great addition to your command center for, for the defending, because let's say shotgun is when they start to get close to you. But with an SKS, in the trained hands, easily 200 yards is still a great, 250 yards, it's a great range for the SKS,
Right.
So something to consider. And the ammunition, they're still affordable. 7.62x39, it's even, little cheaper than 5.56, but if you get it, always stock up, because they can stop the import now with these pretty much small arm treaty and all these things they try to do by pretty much edict. They can stop everything coming from overseas. So if you have a rifle like an SKS, most of the ammunition they are pretty much imported, like the Russian. Don't get a couple hundred rounds. I always say put priorities out, save on dinners, save on other things. If you have a rifle, at least have 5,000 rounds stashed away, and then you have your 1,000 round, whatever time you need it, to practice during the year. I always say now with the dry practice, you can practice every day. And I'm telling you, SKS, people may laugh at that, but the Vietnam War pretty much was fought with SKS and beat up AK-47, and it's the person behind that makes the difference,
That's exactly right, and it's best to if you can train with someone that's trained in weapons first. If you're new to it, I always recommend find a friend or somebody who's has been hunting or whatever, and get with them and have them take you out to the range.
And veterans, so let's not forget. I mean, you're a veteran yourself, even
exactly.
Of course you're a technical person. Remind a little bit exactly what you were doing when you were in the service.
Well, I was a sonar technician. I hunted subs in the old way, the old school way. Now they do it a whole different. I don't even know all the gadgets they got now, but because my rating was basically being phased out, I wound up getting to do a lot of other stuff. I did. I was a bailiff for a day. I did, all sorts of. I worked on equipment that I never saw before. So I got a good variety of training. I also trained on, of course, NBC and things like that, which I'm using now. In fact, right now I'm going through EMP. I'm trying to get a book together on it for. It'll be available for anybody who wants it, but it's an eye opener. There's a lot of things I didn't understand about EMP, and now.
Let's I'm sure every listener of mine know what means EMP, but let's remind exactly the full meaning of the word.
Well, it's electromagnetic pulse, and what it is there are three types of nuclear tactical strikes. One is where the weapon goes off underground. It's basically taking out bunkers and like NORAD and things like that is the design. The other is surface burst, which lands on the surface. And the third is an air burst when it goes off in the air. And right now that seems to be the favored strategic type nuclear strike, because what it does is it sends out. Now, in your cities and stuff, you got to be careful because they probably still do the old-fashioned surface burst because they can wipe out. But areas like where they want to, maybe move in and take over, they would do an air burst. What that does is it sends out, as I understand it so far, I'll say the first second. It's actually nanoseconds of gamma radiation. Wow. And that is what destroys the electronics. And then there's a second signature of gamma radiation that comes out about, I think it's a second and a half after, which basically helps wipe out the electronics. And in fact, the Russians, up until the 90s, were using vacuum tubes because they're less susceptible to this EMP. They've since gone, I think, more solid state. But if you have old radio tubes, tube radios and stuff, you might want to keep them around because you may need them.
So let's explain exactly the gravity, because sometimes people think, okay, EMP, so what? Exactly. Let me remind the listeners, for at least people that they maybe have the first time they're listening to me and to us, this could be exactly going back to the dark ages. Everything with the electronic, with a microchip or with some sort of transistors, correct me if I'm wrong the way I explain it, would be pretty much gone, right?
Well, that's the theory, and there have been government tests that I've been reading, and they've found that a lot of people worry about their cars, because a lot of people will sell their car and they'll advertise it as EMP hardened. Okay, well, the government on their tests have found, and I don't know exactly the nature of the test. I'm still going through the documents.
Yes.
But basically they found that the car still started. They might have a flashing light on the dashboard.
Yes.
Or something like that. But other than that, you could still use the vehicle. So as far as the vehicles go, that is probably not the problem. The biggest problem they found are the grid. The lines, the way they're stretched, is like antennas, and they like as the best way I can describe it. But they are very susceptible to EMP, and basically your electricity would be gone for who knows how long.
Yeah, and let's remind everything, it is not just turning the light on in your kitchen or your house. Starting from the water comes to your apartment, or if you live in a city in the house, doesn't matter. the pumps will not work.
Exactly.
You're going to live without water.
A pump system.
Exactly. So, and this is not an opinion. This is pretty much also there have been several Congress debate, of course, pretty much ignored, put almost like at the bottom of the line of the important things we should talk. That if the grid goes down, it's going to take years before even we can get the technology back to have these big transistors and whatever part of electronics we need to remake. And it's going to be huge, huge. And
now,
go ahead.
And especially near the flatlands, this is really important because a lot of those use pumps.
Yeah.
Whereas, like in the hills, a lot of them are gravity fed, so you're probably okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to worry about the quality of the water, where it comes from. So
you cannot even flush the toilet.
Systems are important too.
Exactly. You could even flush the toilet. It would be in less than 3 days. Could be pandemonium. Could be completely hell. And just to let you know, guys, you don't need to wait for the Chinese or the Russians or any type of other foreign or black, let's say even, let's call it this way, false flag. Doesn't matter. We haven't done that. Mother Nature, the solar, the sun, in the past history, not that far, if you Google solar storm of 1859, this is pretty much black and white. So for the people out there laughing and trying to make fun of us and maybe say, oh, here we go, the fear and doom and doom or whatever you want to say, there is nothing. This is just fact. Sooner or later can happen. It will happen again. Solar storm of 1859 happened in that part of history, not that far ago. Was a huge, it was called the Carrington event.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of the name of it.
Yeah. So, and that at the time we didn't have much technology, but all these telegraphs, they were burned. I mean, pretty much there was a disaster right there for what we had. Imagine now everything is under computer, everything, solar, even just think about the nukes. I mean, the nuclear powers out there, when the electricity goes down, how much these generators, they could pretty much keep the electricity going. I mean, all these things could be a real disaster. So, good talking. I'm glad we're talking about this because at least we can try to prepare. By the way, you can give us some tips how to prepare.
Well, there's like people also forget up here in northern Arizona, actually most Arizona was cut out of communication, internet and phone, cell phones, everything died.
Yes.
Just last year or the year before when somebody cut
a few months ago
a fiber optic line.
A few months ago we had it a few times.
And so, there's all sorts of things you should prepare for. And like you say, if EMP never happens, that's great. But like you said, there's natural disasters, and no matter what happens, with a few preparations, you can, protect your family. One, I always recommend Sam's Club. There's Walmart and other places that have a 6-month supply of storable food.
Yeah, if I can say something about that, because I tried
for like
those.
$150.
Let me tell you, I went through my journey, and I tell you what I don't like about the food sucks.
Oh,
I mean,
it does.
It's full of terrible. There is no real meat. It's all soy and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't give really to my dogs. Of course, if I'm starving, I eat everything. But there are different alternatives. If you can, try to stock up on food that you really enjoy. And you don't need to spend big money. And I give you now one magic keyword that I learned a few years ago, and I really treasure it. It's called quinoa. And you spell it Quinoa. It's natural, okay? It is a grain that pretty much technically it's a seed, it's not a grain, but it looks almost like couscous, okay? It comes from South America, but it's a seed, okay? And it is the only vegetable, put in this way, who has the complete spectrum of amino acid. I mean, you could survive and live well just out of this. Probably would be boring. You can cook it in less than 15 minutes, quicker than rice. It tastes great, and it's affordable. I mean, I buy normally this by 50 pounds or 25 pounds boxes, and you can get it for wholesale, organic quinoa, for about $3 a pound. But let me tell you, 1 pound, a regular person can eat at least, let's say, 4 days, okay? Especially if you mix it with some herbs and things like that. So I believe it's cheaper than this emergency food. Don't get me wrong, if you have it, that's fine. But something to consider, because I eat my quinoa every day, or at least every time I'm hungry and I want to do something fast and good, and I don't need to wait for the end of the world. So something also to consider. And, there are no chemicals, a lot of fibers, a lot of minerals, a lot of proteins, and I think it's affordable. So it's just, to have a little interaction about that too, whatever works for you guys. If you like the dry food, there are different brands out there. Try to get something at least is not GMO and is not full of preservatives and things like that, and stay away from soy if you can, because that's pretty much GMO and bad. But
well, it's something to consider. Definitely look at the labels and see what's in there, see what kind of vitamins and minerals it provides, and that kind of thing.
We did not talk about your book. We're getting to the end. I want to, please, we're getting so excited all this talk. Let's talk about Concerning the Militia, and also how people can find the book, how they can buy it. And go ahead. I give you the floor. I shut up.
Okay. Well, I've got, several books. I self-published through Lulu.com. And you have to sign up for an account there. My fiction book, which is A Shroud of Evidence, that's available on eBay and Amazon and all those. And it's just a dystopic novel, about it gets in kind of spiritual stuff, but it's kind of a psychological thing. And then there's this Concerning the Militia. I haven't been able to get a ISBN on it. I think it might be available on eBay. I think they have a deal with eBay. I'm not sure. But basically, Concerning the Militia was a friend of mine who was running the firearms dealer here, who passed away since. During the Clinton administration, we used to get into conversations on this, and of course, every time the Clintons would say something, I would go back into the Federalist Papers and history and see what the real deal was. And so it started out kind of a notebook. And then I tried to, best I could, put it into a book for people to, general information for people to read and research on their own. I sourced the information. You can find it all on the internet, and it's basic. You know what I like about this book? Not only do you give a great historical view about the militia and all the different things and the laws and everything coming from the beginning of this country, the history of the militia, but also like the fact, for example, I was reading the other night what the militia fear, practical ideas also, and practical input on how and why to form the militia, and also the dangers of what the government could infiltrate or try to label you, and pretty much how to become part of the militia. That in Arizona we already are. Every man from 18 to 45 automatically is part of the unorganized militia. We have it in our constitution. People maybe may not know this. So I really say I would like people to support you, to get this book. It's a great way to get new writers out there, new authors, and also to get great information concerning the militia. Do you have a website? Maybe you can go there and click. Yeah, actually, you can go to glencdavis.com. I got my blog there. I haven't updated in many articles because I'm doing Northern Arizona Gazette and a couple other sites. But I'm hoping to get some more articles on recent Supreme Court decisions to put up. But and the thing about the militia is of course, I respect Dr. Edwin Vieira very much. He's a brilliant lawyer. I'm a brilliant mind, legal mind.
Yes.
And he has taken his constitutional militia under the current laws and said this is how the constitutional militia is, and this is how you must form. Well, we have a disagreement on a few things, but for example, as you said, actually, according to federal law, from 17 to 45, everybody's in the unorganized militia. In Arizona, you're right, it's 18 to 45. And these are mandatory, not voluntary. You can still volunteer if you're 75 and you can carry a 10-pound pack, or 50-pound pack on 10 miles.
Yes.
You're welcome. I mean, if you can shoot straight. The other thing to consider is actually, if you've been if you're a veteran, you're actually in the unorganized militia until you're 65.
Wow, interesting.
And there's a little, you have to read into the law.
Yeah.
Title 10, Chapter 13. And it leads you to the Title 32, which covers the National Guard. And anybody, see, I could still sign up for the National Guard right now, for example.
Yes.
I'm still eligible. And so, where's my, since there's, the Constitution says that the government's supposed to give me my weapons, where's my fully automatic, M16?
Right.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, right.
But,
listen, time is getting to the end. I want just to say, first of all, thank you for the books. I appreciate it. I'm pretty much now reading my Concerning the Militia. I would like everybody, they pretty much can want to learn about this, go to glendavis.com. I also will put a link on my website, lovegunsfreedom.com. And I want to say thank you for your friendship and even just, the opportunity through this radio show to know each other and exchanging ideas and learning from each other. I really do.
Yeah, I appreciate the time. It's been fun. I like your show. And by the way, I understand you're doing a segment on women by being abused.
Yes, domestic violence next hour. That's what I was going to say. Next hour we'll talk about domestic violence with the domestic violence survival, and also we'll talk about something very interesting called the Kamasutra, but from a different perspective. Guys, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Continue next hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.FM network.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So Patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really
Here we go, guys. This is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.FM network. This is the hour about love. And, I try to reach different topics, to talk about different topics, because love is such a wide, big word, And as I said, this sense of this purpose for this hour is not just to entertain you, but also to try to find out our humanity. Because at the end of the day, our freedom, our guns, it is pretty much just another expression of our humanity. And I really believe that the most important weapon that we have, the most important tool that we have in this dimension, and also in the other dimension, I think it is love. So it's love that is going to motivate us to do good things and to stand against evil. Now, today, I would like to touch a topic that is also very concerning, not just for people out there, everybody, but especially also for gun owners, and especially for women. I'm talking about domestic violence. Domestic violence, unfortunately, is part of, a love gone bad. You start with hopes and you have these relationships and and you think that you have the love of your life. And then out of the blue, you realize that you're living in a nightmare. And most of the times, 99% probably, the domestic violence is pretty much against the weaker sex. I don't believe in weaker sex because I know many women that are stronger mentally and physically than many men. But in general, we want to identify that normally women, they are weaker compared to the average man. I'm talking about the average woman. So, in a situation, is always can be the victim. But, can be also the other way. Don't get me wrong. I also heard stories of domestic violence of men beaten up by women. So, it is for everybody. I always believe violence is wrong. The only violence I accept is when I use it to defend myself in self-defense or to defend freedom. That's it. The rest, I think we are civil people, we have brain, we should use logic, and there are civil courts to try to take care of civil matters, okay? So it's always something that we need to think. Now, I find disgusting, in my opinion, any man that will pretty much use acts of violence against women. And I also have some personal reasons why. You know, I don't like to talk too much about my personal life, but I think it's important because we are today also the results of our past. I grew up in a divorced family. You know, my mom, she's been a great mom. And my dad, you know, bless his soul, you know, he had some problems, okay? And I'm sure he wanted us well, he loved us, but, you know, unfortunately, I witnessed with my own eyes domestic violence, and I really believe something that no child should ever witness. You know, there's nothing more disgusting to see a man, in this case your father, beating the crap out of your mother. I think this is disgusting. And that's why probably I grew up always with the, you know, even with my, you know, weaknesses, because I'm not perfect, but I never touched a woman with a finger in all my life. And I may scream, I may tell you go to hell. Most of the time I just leave the house, but I never touch a woman, and I will never do, because I promised myself when I witness this monstrosity, you know, having my mother beaten up, I realized this is so disgusting, and I really felt bad. And I grew up with a sense of almost, I don't know, I don't want to call it anger, but I felt very bad. I wanted to punch my father, and that wasn't right either. But at the same time, I wanted to defend my mom. So this is just a little bit to show you my little side of humanity, where I'm coming from. Now, today I have a person that, unfortunately, she been going through this, and she also a gun owner, so I really like to have her input, her feedback, to see exactly what means to be a victim of a domestic violence, and also what means how to pretty much find the strength and the courage to get out of that condition, and to also heal, try to feel better, get better, because there's a lot of trauma, and I'm not just talking about, physical trauma. So, her name is Shannon Jameson from Kentucky. Shannon, are you there?
I am here, Luca. Hello, how are you?
Very good, very good. I really appreciate, by the way, you coming on the air, because I know this can be kind of a private topic, something that sometimes can be, I don't know. I mean, I don't even like to talk about my mom and my dad, but I think it's something that unfortunately happened to many of us. And I think maybe talking about this, we can avoid new generation of dramas like this. Domestic violence is bad, and I think happen any generation. Of course, Italy may be maybe something cultural, especially in the past, a little more, but there is no excuse. I always say there is no excuse to hit a woman. Tell us a little bit about yourself as a woman, also as a mother, and your past experience with this domestic violence abuse that you had.
I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I did not witness that growing up. My father, God rest his soul, served in the Navy, and my mother worked very, very hard, and I'm the youngest of the children. I have 3 older brothers, and my parents divorced at an early age. I was 9 when we relocated to North Carolina, but I didn't have perfect parents, but they did the very, very best that they could for me. And in domestic violence, if more women and men, you are correct, can speak out and empower one another, I believe that is where the healing begins. It begins with love, loving one another, and taking the time to talk about it and to open up ourselves to one another. My relationship with, my experience with domestic violence was, years ago, and I am not ashamed to let anyone know what happened. It was physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and it ended with a gun being held to my head for 10 hours before I could leave. And once I got out of that situation, I did go seek counseling. I did go and get help. And I became empowered by that. And the power of prayer and the power of talking about it. The more I talk about it, the stronger I got. And if that can help one person to leave, or to know there's always a way out. And it does take strength, and it does take perseverance, and that is one thing that my father, God bless him, God rest his soul, taught me early on, was to never give up and never give in. And, I have not given up on life. I have not given up on love. I have not given up on God. And I've not given up on my right to own a firearm. I do own a firearm, as you said, for personal safety. Personal safety. I am now not only a mother, but a grandmother of a beautiful 6-month-old baby boy. And I have also, my daughter is armed, and she knows how to use a weapon for self-protection. So if we can pass it on from generation to generation, I think we empower one another, male and female.
Now, I have a couple of questions for you, if you don't mind. This is so important. First of all, your domestic violence situation that was in the past, I guess was a few years ago, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That person that was perpetrating this violence was your husband, or you were married? How exactly you were related, if I can ask you?
We were engaged.
Engaged.
We were engaged.
And thankfully, you didn't make it to the altar, correct?
We did not.
I think that
we did not.
Probably was good, so you save money on lawyers later on, I guess.
Very true. Very true. We did not get it.
Now, and that's pretty much right there. There is not, domestic violence, as I said, can be very graphic, can be very physical, can be even just a slap on the face, of course, and can be also to a new level of things that people died. Okay, so it's something that I believe, there is a human component in all of us. We have all our weaknesses, and if somebody understands that there's some problems with rage, they need to find help, and the best help probably they could find, start to realize that they have a problem, because sometimes ignoring the problem, and the moment that you touch another person without any type of excuse that means self-defense, you have a serious problem, and you should stop in your track. Now, I have a friend, a lady friend from Mojave County here, and remember a few years ago, she's a single lady, and she's a senior lady, and she was married once, and she had a domestic case situation with her ex-husband, and she was pretty much the victim. She was beaten up, and years later, after she was trying to buy a handgun here in Arizona, unfortunately, the FBI put her on hold because she was a part of this domestic violence situation. Now, I don't know if that was a glitch or not, but I remember that she had to pretty much get an attorney to clear that up. Even she was just a victim, the moment that she was part of this domestic violence, the law, pretty much didn't make much distinction, and she had to fight to get her gun right. So I'm glad for you that didn't happen to you, but I heard more than one case that unfortunately, if you are a gun owner and you're involved in domestic violence, even if you are not charged, even if you are not the perpetrator, you could be pretty much put in the same bundle. So all I can say out there, this is from my personal humble experience as a human being. If you see that there is some sort of an escalation of feelings and emotions, they're bringing some destructive energy out there in their room, just leave the room, leave the house, get out of there. What would be your suggestion to a woman or to a man that understands that they're approaching a type of a very negative moment? What would you do again to do it better as a victim of a domestic violence?
Oh, Luca, there are so many red flags to look for. Mm-hmm. So many things that we learn. The explosive temper, the emotional abuse for men and women can oftentimes be worse and more what is the word I'm looking for? More destructive to the soul than the physical abuse. Because there were many times in my relationship that I thought I would rather you hit me and get it over with than to talk to me the way you do. Mm-hmm. And, this was back in the early 2004, 2005. So it's been years ago. But, to see those red flags, if someone speaks to you in a derogatory manner or cannot contain their temper or tries to control you, pick up on those. There are so many resources to look for, so many things. And number one for men and women, take care of yourself, your soul. Know what is good for you. If it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't look right, if it doesn't seem right, it's probably not right. And that is what I have learned over the years, is to trust my instinct, to trust what my heart and my God tell me when I pray. And
that's true.
Anything unhealthy, if you can get away, there are resources, there are places to go for safety and your life and your health and the well-being of you and your children, whether you be male or female, and future generations depends on the decisions that we make. You are absolutely correct.
Yes, and if I can say something, I agree with you. There is a point that there is denial, and it's part of a human component. Sometimes we are in denial. We don't want to admit reality. We want to wish that everything is the way we dreamt, and idealize it, And that's the worst thing, I really believe. And also sometimes there are components. I can speak for myself in the case with my family. My mom, she had 2 little children, and she really wanted to give a chance to my dad to understand and to get better. But there is a point when somebody, realize that it's not going to get better. And reality, as much as it hurts, it's better to face it and move on, and try to cut the loss, because that can be worse, even for the children, I really believe. I believe that if I had a child, if I had a family in this common sense way, like, the last thing I would like to submit my children to envision, first of all, fighting. I think it's wrong. That's why I don't even like to fight. I like to leave the room. I know probably people think you should stay there and face it. I don't even like the confrontations anymore. I'm at this point that when I hear somebody raising the voice, I don't like it. More importantly, I think it would be the most disgusting thing to leave as a legacy and leave in the imprint of a child brain, the father or the mother, doesn't matter, hitting the spouse. That would be so terrible. But, one thing I want to say out there, if you're a woman, especially a woman, because most of the women, unfortunately, they don't have the physical strength that a man could have and can have, and you really think that you are in danger and you have, pretty much threat, you've been beaten up, you were sent to the hospital, the next time maybe you could lose an eye, you could go to the hospital, stay on the wheelchair, or just die. And you rely just on the judicial system, this court of a restraining order. Think again. I mean, can you tell us something? Did you ever have a chance to go through the restraining orders out there?
And I did, and it is often used, I think, as a cliche, but it's very true. Luca, it is a piece of paper. A restraining order will not stop someone who is out to harm another human being, male or female. That piece of paper, be it legal, will not stop them if they are. That was my experience. It did not stop him. It was not until I completely, and I am like you. Don't there's no need to raise your voice. There's no need. I would rather walk away, take a walk, take a breath, go away for the weekend, go away. And thank God my daughter did not witness what happened. I thank God for that. But you are correct. We can go to court, men and women, take out a restraining order, but at the end of the day, it is a piece of paper. And a lot of times, abusers, men and women, overlook that piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything to them when their anger and their hatred overtakes their heart.
Yeah.
They're on a mission to hurt and to harm.
Yeah, and it's a point, it becomes almost like a madness. There is no more logic. I think we have, there is a song of the In Excess. I don't know if you heard about it. It's called The Devil Inside, Every one of us has the devil inside. I mean, every one of us has like the good angel and the bad angel. This is my own little understanding how pretty much we are made as humans. We have the good part of us that most of the time we try to keep it in balance and pretty much control us, And then there is always the little bad part of us as a human being that try to get out and sneak out there, and when find weaknesses, that could be also created by, substance abuse, could be alcohol, could be other factors. That's where you lose the control, and that's where we become probably the beast that the devil is taking over us. And if guys out there, you don't believe in the devil, that's fine. Call it evil, whatever you want to call it. So really believe that something that we need to, to control. More important is some people, I believe that they are more propense, and there are also some medical conditions. I mean, I'm not here to give medical advices, but I really believe some people need help, I don't really put much faith into the psychiatric system. I believe it creates more trouble, in my opinion, than really what cures. But try to find some help from friends, maybe from a church or from family, something. But you need to stay away from relationship if that's the case. That's my humble opinion. Now, as a gun owner, pretty much you started to have a gun when you were under this situation of domestic violence, or after?
Oh, no. My father taught me very, very young, very early, how to properly use a firearm. He taught me to hunt. He taught me to shoot. I had a weapon in my hand being trained properly when I was a young child.
Wow.
So it was not the domestic violence that has always been a part of my life. We believed in God. Our family believed in God, guns, and freedom.
Wow.
And, my father, being that he was in the Navy, we have a great respect for our veterans. And we, one thing that you were mentioning about alcoholism and whatnot, and I am not ashamed to admit this either. And today is a very special day, and I'm glad we did this interview.
Mm-hmm.
April 11th of 1999, I took what, God willing, will be my last drink.
Wow.
So today makes, 16 years and 4 months.
Wow.
That I have not taken a drink. And, when I was drinking, was my behavior, unacceptable to me, absolutely. But God gave me the strength to get sober. And that was one strength He did not give my ex, the man who abused me. And I feel badly for him that he could not find that strength and keep it.
Wow.
And
can I say something?
But no, I have been around firearms all my life. Never had a fear of them. I was taught to respect them at a very early age.
Good.
Very early.
Let me ask you a question, Shannon. This show is also about guns, and normally, the second hour we get more technical, heavy. This is the hour about love. But I'm always curious, and if you don't mind, you can always say, private answer. You don't need to answer. What is your favorite handgun that you chose for your personal defense? So, because you're a woman, last Sunday I had pretty much a show about, and 2 Sundays ago, about what is the best, or at least what is my opinion about what could be the good handgun for a woman. And of course, everybody has different choices and different type of hands. But what is your gun, your favorite gun that you like?
Right now, I have a Ruger P93.
Okay, very interesting.
And I also have a Glock.
Mm-hmm.
But I am looking at the new Glock 43. It is very small, very compact.
Yes.
I've not been able to purchase that yet.
Yeah, kind of hard.
The bigger firearms, I look into the shotgun. I have shot those. I've gone, they don't belong to me, but I've gone out and used just about every weapon, and I'm willing to learn. I am very, very teachable in that aspect. I do not expect, to pick up a firearm and automatically know how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
That can be, to me, I was raised, that can be very dangerous. So, when I have family members that come over with different types of weapons that they have, I get that proper training. I will go to a gun range. I will go to an expert and say, train me with this. Let me learn. And then I can pass that on to other women and to my daughter or to other men or to other friends or family who might be afraid of a firearm. Because there really is truly nothing to fear about. And being raised that way, I'm now 45. So it's been years that I've not, been exposed to that. And it is a right. It is a God-given right for us all to keep and bear arms. all of us.
Very good, very good. So you are pretty much a 9mm, and I would like to share with you an information that normally I share with all my listeners. I like to dig out, like a little dog, like a hunting dog, going looking for the best deals out there, okay? And when I bring them on my show, they are not even sponsors. I just like to give the opportunity to everybody out there to get the best prices, saving money, and get good stuff. Like, for example, ammunition. You need to feed your gun, especially to train. And ammo, we know, getting kind of expensive lately, or at least they used to. Now, for 9mm, I found the best deal on the internet, and everybody, if they want, they can write it down. It's 1,000 round of 9mm Luger, 115 grain, full metal jacket, the steel case, the Wolf from Russia, for $179.80. With no sale tax, unless they ship from the state where this company is, and I will give you the name of this company, and you just pay only $16. So let's say for less than $200, less than $10 a box of 50 rounds, you can get very good practice ammo. I use the Wolf very often, and I never had a problem. And I tell you, for practice in today's market, I think it's a very good price. What do you think about $180 for 1,000 round on 9mm compared to the prices where you pretty much shop there in Kentucky?
That is really not a bad price, and there are many locations around that locally. Mm-hmm. If you go shop at your local, your local gun store, wow, your local shooting range, your local ammunition store, they have deals all the time. All the time. And I know there are rumors that have been going around that we're running short on ammo, we're running out of ammo. I have not found that anywhere. I have not found, personally here, that we're running short or being bought out, or a lot of people going out and buying in bulk. Absolutely. And that is their right to do so.
Yes. Of course, there is still a scarcity, in some caliber, like the 22, I remember like 6-7 years ago, I started like exactly 10 years ago. Every time I used to go to Walmart to buy, I don't know, whatever, I always used to get a box of a brick of 22, the 525 rounds at the time, the Federal, for like $9, stuff like that. And I was getting obsessed.
Right, I remember.
They used to make fun of me, the cashier at the Sports and Good, they used to almost laugh there because pretty much it was, what's going on, another box of ammo. And for me it was like, instead I don't go to bars, I don't do other things, and that was my little money that I used to do that. And then I started to pretty much build my little 22 castle, because I really used to use them like bricks, okay? Anyway, and the funny thing was, and years later, the same cashier that used to laugh at me, and he's almost say, oh my gosh, maybe you got psychic powers. No, I don't. But honestly, unfortunately, you realize that ammunition is a commodity, and there is always a demand and an offer and demand. You never know. A different situation can create more demand. Could be panic, could be political scenarios. So, and I always say, especially if you like to practice and you want to train people that they're new to guns, and also I like it a lot for several reasons, the 22 caliber. I think it's a great way to start to diversify your assets. People say, silver and gold, great. I always say silver, gold, and lead, or copper in this case. But this is just a little bit of a side story. Talking about the alcohol, something that I would like to share with you, because I realized that coming from Italy, that, don't get me wrong, there are alcohol problems everywhere in the world, even in Italy. But many of us, at least the majority of society there, let's put it this way, we drink mostly for, not even social. It's almost like food, okay? I talk a lot about wine during my show, and it is pretty much every meal I have at least a couple glasses of wine. And people think sometimes, oh my gosh, you must be an alcoholic. Oh my gosh, you must be some sort of addict. No, I use wine like I would use, I don't know, some other things I use in my food. For me, just a way to enjoy my food. And that's what I found out differently from the average Italian to the average American culture, that alcohol instead here almost get used to get blasted, or at least wasted, to get drunk. As much as I may drink my wine, I never get drunk. What do you think? Am I wrong on this, or just my sensation? Something that, am I saying something that is off, or you think there is some truth into this? We have two different...
No. I have friends, very, very dear friends of mine that have a glass of wine after work or a couple of glasses of wine after dinner.
Okay.
That is part of your culture. That is, and in America it is as well. There are many American friends of mine that are American and you can tell by my name that I'm Irish. My father wanted everyone to know that we were Irish. And, we drank when I was younger. Just because you have a drink or two at dinner, there's a very, very big difference between mine was once I started, I could not stop. And that is where it became a problem.
Yes.
I can go out today with friends and they're drinking and they're tipsy and they're having a good time. I don't drink. The next day they get up, they go to work, they function. That was not what happened to me.
Yeah, I understand.
That was my own personal experience. But no, I think that is a freedom as well. And from what I've heard in Italy, you're right, you are correct. We have friends from Greece who are, they have their wine, their special beer, their brand of whatever. And that is part of their meal. Almost like we would use a spice on a food.
Exactly.
That is part of enjoying your meal.
That's true. But anyway, regardless, whatever you do, always do it with moderation and in a way that you're always in control. Because that's, for me, the bottom line. I don't care if you smoke a plant or if you drink wine. Whatever you do it always with the safety that you want to guarantee others people's safety. And already, people know my opinion about everything. It is not just about the alcohol. It's about the right to do to your body what you think is right, but it's always with the respect of other people out there. So that's the bottom line. And by the way, it's funny because I'm one of the biggest advocates, or at least biggest. I pretty much very passionate about the idea that people should have the right to, in my opinion, to drink a glass of wine if they want to drink whatever they want, also to smoke whatever they want. But the point is they need to do it with the respect of others. And I don't even smoke anything. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke herbs. I tried one time to smoke sage, and that was very bad experience anyway. By the way, it's serious. People think so much about marijuana. I got news for you. If you want to go into that type of rabbit hole, if you smoke sage, that is considered a legal plant, you're going to have really bad visions, and it's terrible for you. So it's always a question about freedom and be responsible for your own actions. That's the bottom line. Shannon, I want to give you the floor, whatever you want to say, and I really want to thank you, first of all, to be open to us, your experience, and I hope other people, other women especially, that going through what you went through, can find the strength to stop this terrible situation and find help. And also don't forget, you want to empower yourself, don't be a victim, buy a weapon, buy a handgun, and train and learn how to use it, because that's going to be probably the best tool to defend yourself against the evil in general and violence. And a restraining order could be good to put on the wall and stare at that. But at the end of the day, it's not going to save you. So please give us your, I'll give you the floor, whatever you want to say.
Well, you are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. We as free men and women, whether we be from Italy or America or Greece or wherever, it is about freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom, if someone wants to smoke, they should have the right to do that. If someone wants to drink, they should have the right to do that. And take care of our bodies. Just like you said, I go to the gym. There are weekends, Luca, that I will leave town and go out down onto some land that we have in another county with 2 other very strong women, and we go down there and we just have quiet time. We train, we talk, we exchange ideas, we empower one another. And that is so very, very important that men and women both can empower one another instead of, there's a lot of division going on in our country right now, as you can see. It's color against color and race against race. And for me, we're all one. Exactly. We're all in this together. And we're all about freedom and love and about our God. And it doesn't have to be, and I see so many people criticizing, well, your opinion of God is not right because it's not my opinion of God. We choose our own conception of God. Mm-hmm. That is my opinion. And personally, I was raised Catholic. That is how I view my God. Mm-hmm. But everyone has a right to whatever works for them. you know, their spirituality is what's important. And it may not be the God that we understand.
Mm-hmm.
But that is their, and again, religious freedom is another very, very important factor.
Exactly. And
in our lives. I do believe that.
Let me just close with this. You know, there is a place that I had a vision last year. I wanted to create a place for people who respect each other, who have the same type of belief of freedom, at least, you know, to be free and to do everything you want until you infringe on somebody else's rights. And also not just to network, because I think the first thing would be to find friends or like-minded people, but also to find maybe the love of your life or to find maybe your companion. I created this website. It's called freedomlovers.us. And it's 100% free because somebody else is paying. It's pretty much my act of love I share with you guys, my listeners. And you can go to freedomlovers.us, create an account, upload your photos, upload your videos, and start to look for friends. Start to look for like-minded people in your community. And the idea would be also to find maybe a special friend. But if you're already engaged, or if you already have a boyfriend or a wife or husband, whatever, you can also just go there to network, to maybe sell or write a blog or try to share what you learn about different topics. There are also a free classified section, and there's also a video messenger section. So there's a lot of different things you can do, and I hope you can appreciate it, listeners, and go there. And doing that and spreading this concept out, you also will spread the concept of this radio show, Love, Guns, and Freedom. Now, Sharon, I want to give you a hug. And I really want to thank you for your witnessing everything. And my best for you and to your family, okay?
No, and a hug back and my best to you and your family. And may God bless you and God bless America. And may we all stay free. That is my prayer at the end of the day.
Perfect. And I have
truly, and I'm grateful for the very strong women and men that I have in my life. And I am honored to know you, Luca. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. I have a song that I wrote, and I'll dedicate it to you. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom, and don't go away, because the final part of this hour is going to be more about love, and I will have a special guest, and we will talk about the Kamasutra. And don't get me wrong, it is not just the porn stuff. It's much more deeper than what we can imagine. Don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
You see no hope. You have
go, guys. This is the final hour, the final part of the final hour on Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. And this is the hour about love, you know. We heard before about this very interesting conversation with this lady about domestic violence. And this is also part about love, you know, to try to find out how we can improve our problems, our, you know, I say humanity. You know, humanity is made of imperfections. And, of course, there is no excuse for that type of imperfection. But I thought that would be good to bring somebody like Shannon on the air, because I'm sure there are other people out there, other women, and also other men. As I said, this is not just the woman that can be domestic violence, you know. Can be also a man, can be maybe two women. I don't know. There is always somebody weaker out there. So anyway, I hope could give you at least the opportunity to think that you're not alone and there is a way to find help, and there is no shame to talk about this, you know. I think it's very important to pass the stage. Now, this is the hour about love, as I said, and I like to touch different topics that probably many of you say, what has to do this with freedom? What has to do this with guns? You know, the show is called Love, Guns, and Freedom. So it's not just called guns and let's shoot them all, or, you know, freedom, you know, Patrick Henry. It's three type of basic concepts, you know, three basic concepts. And I believe they're all interconnected anyway. Now, the hour about love, it's also physical love. And today I want to have with me, I have the honor to have with me again, a great lady, young lady from Nevada. And she's also member of our free community. It means it's free, no type of fees to pay, on freedomlovers.us. Her name is Patriot Patricia. Patriot Patricia, she will help me to pretty much learn, because I don't know anything about it, about the Kamasutra book. You know, in my ignorance, I thought the Kamasutra was an ancient book pretty much about sex. You know, that shows you different positions so you become a better lover. And maybe that's also part of it. I don't know. But I think there is much more. And Patriot Patricia, she's a very smart lady, and she has, I'm sure, more knowledge than I do on this topic. So I would like to bring her in and to try to help us out, because I think it's sexuality and also love. It's a very important part of our humanity here on Love, Guns, and Freedom. Patriot Patricia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I hope, you know, I don't want to scare people out. I don't want to give the bad impression that we are becoming like Howard Stern here. You know, nothing wrong with that. I think he does a great entertainment. But my show is more about love and humanity. And, you know, I thought it would be a great topic to talk about this Kamasutra, because everything can help to find the special connection to the other person. I think could be a very good tool. What do you think about this?
It's a great topic, especially since, as you were mentioning, it is so misunderstood.
Mm-hmm. First of all, you know, I just bought my copy, my real hard copy. You know, I've been spinning around on the internet looking for free PDF copies of Kamasutra, and it's beautiful. I mean, very interesting. I like the drawings. I like also the different type of history behind. But I got finally my first copy in the mail. But do you really study? Did you read this book? I mean, can you tell us a little bit more about it? Even the origins, you know, how old it is, you know, who wrote it maybe? Any idea? Because I'm kind of ignorant on the matter.
Okay, well, originally, first of all, it's of Hindu origin. It's from ancient Indian origin.
Okay.
So, the original was supposedly created by Nandi, who was a helper or a gatekeeper of the main creator god, Shiva.
Okay.
And Nandi, if you actually look at the Sanskrit meaning of the word, it means a happy, joyful person. So it's kind of symbolic that he's the gatekeeper of Shiva, and a lot of times Shiva is actually worshipped as in the form of a lingam, which a lot of people, especially in the West, would interpret as a phallus symbol.
Okay.
So Shiva, in his true form, is actually not the physical form of the lingam, the phallic sort of shape, the energy, the column of light within it. So to get there to that column of pure energy, or to that pure form of the creator god, you must pass through the joyful man, Nandi, the gatekeeper. So 700 years before Christ,
wow,
another ancient Indian sage took the teachings of Nandi and actually created a guidebook called the Kamasutra. Sutra actually means basically what we would call a guidebook. Not with rules, but with guidance. And Kama is the third goal of a good life, according to a lot of Hindu teachings. So what it actually means is finding enjoyment through your five senses in the physical world.
Wow. Five senses. Sorry if I interrupt you 1 second. First of all, I don't want to sound like I'm flirting with you, but I'm really impressed by your brain. You're such a smart lady and so full of knowledge. On top, you're so beautiful. So kind of shocking, to find this great package together and talk about these things. Meanwhile, I'm listening to you. I'm watching this, looking at these photos of Kamasutra. They're kind of, I'm kind of blushing a little bit.
It will. Just like you're talking about the package, that's what Kama actually is. It's not just enjoying the world with the five senses.
Okay.
It goes beyond that, where it's assisted with your mind and with your spirit. So
yes.
You're never going to achieve that maximum physical pleasure unless you bring your awareness that comes through your mind.
Yes.
And through your spirituality, because the final goal is to become a realized human being so that you can reach the state that the ancient Hindus would have believed would unite you with the universe.
Wow, you say something that really made me think a lot now, because I completely agree with you. It's you cannot reach the full joy with just the physical dimension. It is not just a physical act. Love can be just some sex. That's not enough. It must be deeper and must be like almost an interconnection of two different souls that they reach in this dimension through this body. But at the end, the final connection is soul to soul. And I really believe this is, if that's what you meant, I understand that, and I really feel that is something very hard to describe unless you try it and you're lucky enough to prove it. To experience it.
Yes, Kama, basically that was just the definition of Kama, because Kama is not even just about physical pleasure in a sexual sense. It's about enjoying your human body in the fullest sense, most fulfilling sense. So the first part of the text of Kamasutra is actually talking about interior decoration, how to decorate your home. It talks about different types of foods and enjoying different types of scents.
Wow.
So it's really well-rounded. Then the second half gets into enjoying your physical and experiencing the divine in your physical body through these different sexual positions. Which, in the context of ancient Hindu teachings, they would have been connected to sort of almost like a divine yoga, because during these sex acts,
yes,
the male partner is taking on the role of Shiva, the creator god, and the woman, his lover, is taking on the role of Shiva's consort, his wife, so the goddess. And so it's a lot more than just the physical animal nature, even though the physical enjoyment is definitely part of it. It's actually reenacting the role of the creator god and creating with his consort, creating the universe, creating everything that exists.
Yeah, I really believe you know, when you say something, I really believe we are like some micro-universe. Each one of us, inside our body, we have like almost this explosion of energy that you can call soul, and also can be, if you want to paint it, it looks almost like a micro-universe. And when you connect with the other person in the physical aspect, it's almost you open a gate that you're going to reconnect those two different worlds together and become almost one. Am I too crazy? Am I too corny? Or maybe onto something? Because I really believe that.
No, you're absolutely in the right path there, especially when you're talking about opening the gate, because remember that Nandi, the one who started these teachings, was actually the gatekeeper to Shiva, the creator of the universe.
Wow.
And Nandi is the happy man, the joyful man. So that you're absolutely onto something. And it's a really nice thought that each of us is sort of a microcosm. And that's what the idea behind this is that when we enact these things as a microcosmic part of the universe, in that moment it connects us to eternity and to the macrocosm. And at that point, you're reminded of the divine within yourself, the divine within your partner. And so it definitely transcends just the physical, animal, lustful part of sex.
I would like to say a message to all my listeners. I know my listenership is pretty much, there is a big variety, A lot of my listeners, they are Christians, and I consider Christian myself. Then, of course, there are people from different religions, some atheists. That's fine. On this show, I want to talk about everything. I understand maybe some of you, for morality reasons or religion reasons, you may not maybe agree on this topic, and that's fine. That's why I say, guys, you always can turn it off. But have an open mind, because this is not about sex. This is about our soul. This is about love, how to connect with other human beings. And, there are different cultures out there. I understand that, and I grew up completely in the Western culture, and I don't know anything about Eastern or Indian culture, but I like to learn. I like to have every book on my bookshelf, and that would be the spirit of this show. It is something that we can talk about things, we can also learn about things. It doesn't need that you need to do things that we talk. I have on my library pretty much every book from Mao Zedong to Hitler, and I don't believe to any of them. I do not follow any of their beliefs, but I like to have every topic. On this one, I think it's a great thing, and I really would like to experiment it also in person. Now, can I ask you something? I'm going through, there are different, now going back to the most materialistic aspect of this Kamasutra, what do you think? How many different positions there are in this physical world of love represented in this book?
Well, they're basically mirroring the 64 parts of the first section.
Wow.
There are 64 parts in the second section. So I can't tell you exactly how many different positions there are, but it would probably be revolving around those 64.
Wow, interesting.
You said something that was interesting yourself when you were talking about how Christians might not agree with this topic, but one of the things that has been very clear listening to your show is that you try to find things that people have in common, even if they're from different political persuasions, and in this case, even if people are from different religious persuasions, sometimes there's more in common than on the surface there might seem to be. So in Christianity, for example, in Genesis, one of the commands that God gave his creation, man and woman, was to procreate. And so there's nothing sinful in procreation itself. In fact, it's a following, even in Christianity, following the directive of the Creator God, of God the Father. So when you look at a puppy or a baby, you see there's something very beautiful and innocent and just adorable in that, and they wouldn't exist if it weren't for sex.
Yes.
So unfortunately, in Western culture, sex has been sort of degraded to this sort of a shameful sort of a thing where it's more animalistic, and so people naturally tend to think of the Kamasutra as sort of a porn manual instead of a path to finding the divine through your own physical body and basically reflecting the creator role of the creator God, or the creative forces and creative energies in the universe. So even in Christianity, creation is something that is revered and respected. And what's more magical and amazing than being able to create with your own body, whether it's love or a feeling of peace and tranquility, because many people find a source of meditation in sex. And in fact, that's one of the only times that most Westerners would actually meditate is during sex, and they might not even realize consciously that's what they're doing, but they'll find sometimes that moment of peace or euphoria because it's a connection with that divine creative energy within themselves that consciously they might not even be aware of because of how Western perception has twisted the true meaning of sex.
You're right. I really want to compliment you because you're so articulated, so deep, and so really knowledgeable of many things, from Christianity to religion to spirituality to this Eastern, let's say Oriental cultural aspects. So I really want to thank you very much. You bring a lot to the show, to me, also to learn. As I said, the topic, one of the purposes of the show for me is try to learn from each other. And to that, definitely, at least I have the curiosity to explore this book and to study. I wrote a little poem, not even a poem, some lines that pretty much for the occasion, when I was thinking about, we were talking now about those bodies that pretty much they almost allow us to reconnect our spirituality. I don't know. I want to just dedicate this to you and to every listeners out there that is trying to get in tune with what we're trying to say here. And this is for you, Patriot Patricia. Two worlds colliding. Every time you kiss me, you open the gate of my universe, letting my infinite explode into you. Look into your eyes, and I can see your soul. Like two worlds colliding each other, we are now blending into a new star.
That's beautiful. Really profound.
Thank you.
It fits perfectly with the topic.
This is exactly, what you made me feel talking about this conversation and probably the meaning of this book, very interesting book. Listen, I want to thank you again, and I want to say everybody, please, we can have conversation like this also on a website that I pretty much created as an act of love, to meet like-minded people, no matter if you want to date or if you want just to find a friend or if you want just, for example, just network. It's called freedomlovers.us. Freedomlovers.us is completely free, and I know, Patriot Patricia, you're there, at least you're a very busy lady, but you're there spreading your messages on your blogs. Are you still there, by the way?
I'm here right now. I haven't been very active lately, because I've been so busy in my personal life. Okay. But I definitely do keep an eye on what's going on Freedom Lovers and pop in now and then to check to see what new friends are there and what my old friends have to say. So it's a great place for networking.
Perfect. Can I give you a virtual hug?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, thank you very much, Patriot Patricia. I have a song that I'm going to dedicate to you right now, okay?
Okay, thank you. It's been fun.
Thank you, guys. And you don't go away, or pretty much we're almost at the end. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States to the FM Network with Luca Zanna.
With all my heart, with all my soul, I want to love you all night long. Then, baby, I'll be gone. Away, and you know what remains, just regrets and the pain, just the smell of your hair. Oh baby, you know this isn't fair. I want to love you all night long, with all my heart, with all my soul. I want to love you all night long, then baby, I'll be gone. I want to love you all night long, with all my heart, with all my soul. I want to love you all night long, then baby, I'll be gone. If I had another chance, oh baby, I'd like to dance. If I had another life, but all we have is just tonight. You belong to my heart, you belong to my soul. Oh baby, tonight we're not alone. No, I want to love you all night long, with all my heart, with all my soul. I want to love you all night long, then baby.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.